Don't regret it. If you abandon me, I will marry your best friend. In my past life, I was a son of the capital, yet I humbly played the role of a dog, only to meet a tragic end. Now that I've been reborn, I refuse to grovel anymore. But to my surprise, she became desperate, begging me to get back together. Please, forgive me. Really. I think your best friend is great. I won't be with you anymore. Chapter 1. Xiaonan, I might not be back tonight, don't wait for me. With a cold tone, Xiaonan suddenly opened his eyes, sat up, and instinctively touched his head. He remembered the last thing he saw before dying, Yuan Kaliang's hammer coming down at him. His head was unscathed. Looking around, he saw Su Waiye was getting ready, combing her hair and applying makeup. His memories were still blurry. He closed his eyes, thought for a moment, then a cold smile appeared on his lips. When he opened his eyes again, he looked at Su Waiye's back, his gaze gradually turning colder. 2 years ago, he was originally a son of the Xiao family in the capital. For Su Waiye, he had fallen out with his family, returned to Jiangcheng, and married Su Waiye, even helping her start her own company. Xiaonan treated Su Waiye like she was the most precious thing in the world, doing everything to fulfill her wishes. Because Su Waiye said she wasn't ready to give herself to him, Xiaonan never touched her in the 2 years they were married. But Su Waiye took his kindness for granted, and instead, she became entangled with Yuan Kaliang, the young master of the Yuan family in Jiangcheng. On this day in his past life, it was the 2nd anniversary of their wedding, but Su Waiye stayed out all night with Yuan Kaliang. Furious, Xiaonan confronted Yuan Kaliang, but Yuan Kaliang twisted the truth, making Su Waiye distance herself from him even more. Xiaonan suffered countless injustices, and at Yuan Kaliang's instigation, Su Waiye drained his usefulness and left him vulnerable. In the end, Yuan Kaliang crippled him and killed him. Taking a deep breath, Xiaonan pushed away his thoughts and sat still on the sofa. Su Waiye, who had finished getting ready, walked up to him. Xiaonan looked at this woman, the one he loved most, but there was no tenderness in his gaze anymore. Su Waiye was indeed beautiful. With a curvy figure and delicate makeup, her features were stunning, earning her a spot as one of Jiangcheng's 5 most beautiful women. Xiaonan, I'm going out. You eat at home tonight, Su Waiye said, glancing at him before turning to leave. Okay. Xiaonan replied indifferently. As soon as the words left his mouth, Su Waiye stopped mid-turn, glanced back, and saw that Xiaonan was still sitting on the sofa, his expression calm, as if he hadn't heard her. She repeated, Xiaonan, I might not be back tonight. Okay. I might have to go on a business trip tomorrow, for 2 or 3 days. No problem, you go. Su Waiye furrowed her brows, something didn't seem right. Today was their 2nd wedding anniversary, and just a few days ago, she had noticed Xiaonan preparing a surprise for her, hoping to make her happy. He even casually mentioned wanting to have dinner with her tonight. But now, Xiaonan was unexpectedly calm. She stared at him, trying to figure out what he was up to, but she couldn't understand, especially as his gaze toward her wasn't filled with love or tenderness anymore, but rather an unspoken indifference. For some reason, Su Waiye's heart ached sharply, as if a piece of her heart had suddenly disappeared. It felt like she had lost the most important thing in her life. Shaking her head to push away her thoughts, Su Waiye looked away and left. After she was gone, Xiaonan leaned back on the sofa. Remembering everything that happened in his past life, he couldn't help but feel sorry for himself. Su Waiye might not have been the one who directly killed him, and from the few words he overheard from Yuan Kaliang before his death, it seemed Su Waiye didn't know about his death. But even if she wasn't the direct killer, she was still an indirect one, and his death was tied to this woman. Now that he was reborn, would he seek revenge? Yes, he would, and he would do it in his own way. Just then, his phone rang with a notification. It was a message from Lin Shuyun. Lin Shuyun was the eldest daughter of the Lin family in Jiangcheng, far above the Yuan family. If it weren't for Xiaonan, Su Waiye would never have been able to ascend into high society. Lin Shuyun was also one of Jiangcheng's 5 most beautiful women and had always had feelings for Xiaonan. Unfortunately, in his past life, Xiaonan had been completely focused on Su Waiye, ignoring Lin Shuyun's affections. What moved Xiaonan the most was that, after he was crippled and locked away by Yuan Kaliang, no one cared about his well-being. Lin Shuyun suspected Yuan Kaliang's involvement and investigated in secret, even mobilizing the full power of her family. However, at that time, Yuan Kaliang had already climbed even higher, accusing the Lin family of tax evasion, leading to Lin's father's imprisonment. Without her family's support, Lin Shuyun was captured by Yuan Kilian, who intended to assault her. But Lin Shuyun, a strong-willed woman, committed suicide with a knife. Only when Yuan Kilian threw Lin Shuyun's body in front of Xiao Nan did he understand the full story. This woman, until her death, never saw Xiao Nan again. Thinking about this made Xiao Nan's heart ache. He answered the call, and Lin Shuyun's soft voice came through. Xiao Nan, would you like to have dinner with me tonight? Sure. Xiao Nan smiled as he responded. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line, as if Lin Shuyun couldn't believe he actually agreed. Her voice filled with surprise. Great. Xiao Nan, I'll pick you up and book a restaurant. After hanging up, Xiao Nan got up, ready to freshen up. In his past life, Lin Shuyun had also called him at this time, but back then, Xiao Nan was too heartbroken over Su Ya's departure to respond. Looking at his handsome reflection in the mirror, Xiao Nan couldn't help but feel lost for a moment. In his past life, he had been so blinded by love that he, with this appearance and condition, had been foolishly hung up on Su Ya. The evening sky was splendid, the sunset slowly fading. The city bustled with traffic and crowds. At a luxurious seaside restaurant in Jiangcheng, Yuan Kiliang was angrily scolding the waiter. I reserved that private room first. How could you give it to someone else? I'm going to file a complaint. The waiter smiled politely. Sorry, Mr. Yuan, I don't have the authority to decide. Get your manager. This is the manager's decision, the waiter responded with a smile. Yuan Kiliang fumed, and Su Ya, feeling uncomfortable under the stares of many people, was also embarrassed. She accidentally looked back and was startled. There, she saw Xiao Nan in a suit, accompanied by a stunning woman who had her arm around his. They looked intimate and walked in behind the waiter into the most luxurious private room. Chapter 2. How could this be? Xiao Nan? How could he be here? Su Ya's heart felt like it was being tightly squeezed by an invisible hand, causing her breath to momentarily stop. When she regained her senses and looked again, the person had already disappeared from her sight. She wanted to follow, but was politely stopped by the waiter. Sorry, miss, there are already VIPs inside. Please don't enter without permission, the waiter said in a formal and polite tone. Su Ya's expression changed rapidly, and Yuan Kiliang, who was beside her, thought that she was upset due to his lack of success and hurriedly explained with a smile, It's okay, Xiao Ya. If we don't sit in this private room, it's their loss for turning us away. My friend just opened a new restaurant, and it tastes pretty good. Let me take you there. Su Ya took a deep breath, quickly shaking off the wild thoughts in her mind. The sudden scene had indeed startled her, but upon further reflection, she felt it was impossible. Xiao Nan was probably at home, saddened by her departure, so how could he have the time to come to this restaurant? Moreover, this was the most luxurious private room. With Xiao Nan's lack of progress over the past 2 years, how could he afford such a high-class restaurant? Thinking this, Su Ya's heart lightened a little. She glanced at Yuan Kiliang and smiled, nodding. Inside the private room, Lin Shuyun and Xiao Nan had already taken their seats. Looking at Xiao Nan's handsome face, Lin Shuyun could barely contain her desire to be close to him. Her firm and full chest was pressed tightly against Xiao Nan's elbow, intentionally or not rubbing against him. Xiao Nan, you must have quite the influence. In Jiangcheng, many people want to treat me to dinner, but you're the only one who refuses to come after being invited multiple times. Lin Shuyun puffed out her cheeks, staring at him with her big, watery eyes, looking irresistibly cute. Xiao Nan smiled but said nothing. Lin Shuyun's eyes twinkled as she mischievously said, Xiao Nan, why don't you divorce Su Ya? The last time I saw her flirting with Yuan Kiliang. If you divorce her, I could reluctantly marry you. Xiao Nan chuckled, Miss Lin, you really don't mind that I'm a second-time marriage? Lin Shuyun huffed, that's something only narrow-minded people would care about. Truly open-minded people don't think about these things. Xiao Nan shook his head and laughed, we'll see. Though she didn't get the answer she wanted, Lin Shuyun was somewhat disappointed but still didn't rush. Compared to when she couldn't even call Xiao Nan by name before, she had made great progress and wasn't he anxious. Xiao Nan and Lin Shuyun ate and drank, occasionally exchanging flirtatious touches. As for Su Ya, her mind kept returning to the scene she had just witnessed. She had clearly seen Xiao Nan walk in with a woman, and although she tried to comfort herself that she must have seen it wrong, she couldn't help but keep thinking about it. She had even sent Xiaonan several WeChat messages, but unlike usual, where Xiaonan would reply promptly, today there was no response, making Su Wei feel more unsettled. After the meal, Yuan Kiliang invited her, Xiao Wei, let's go to a bar to relax. I also have a few friends who want to meet you. They are from different industries, and maybe we could find some opportunities to cooperate. Normally, Su Wei would have agreed with a smile, but today she felt inexplicably uneasy. She thought about how Xiaonan had seemed indifferent when she left and didn't even ask where she was going. She also remembered the figure of Xiaonan at the restaurant. With Xiaonan still not replying to her messages, she was even more anxious and couldn't care less about business. She forced a smile and refused, I'm a little tired today. I think I'll head home first. Yuan Kiliang thought Su Wei was angry about what happened at the restaurant and was about to explain, but she had already turned and left. Watching Su Wei leave, Yuan Kiliang ground his teeth. This woman really wasn't easy to deal with. But it didn't matter once he achieved his goal, he would kick her aside. What he didn't expect was that Xiaonan, who seemed like a useless guy, had such a background. If he hadn't accidentally learned this information, he might never have thought in that direction. Since he now knew everything, he would make good use of it. After parting with Yuan Kiliang, Su Wei hurried home. She opened the door and found the house completely dark and lifeless. She immediately realized that Xiaonan wasn't home and felt a huge sense of contrast. In the past, no matter when she came back, the lights would always be on, and Xiaonan would be sitting on the sofa, smiling and waiting for her, with all kinds of desserts and delicious food prepared. But now, their house was empty, and the contrast made her feel lost. She tried calling Xiaonan, but he never answered. People as strange if it had been before, she wouldn't have cared whether Xiaonan answered the phone. But now, with his sudden change in attitude, she felt an inexplicable pull, as if his behavior was tying her emotions tightly. She called over and over, at first with no response, and finally, the phone was turned off. Damn Xiaonan, is this on purpose? Su Wei slammed the phone onto the sofa and stood up angrily. It was just a dinner with another man on their anniversary. Was it really necessary for Xiaonan to act so petty? Moreover, she went out to dinner for business. It was better than Xiaonan relying on her without making any progress. After the anger subsided, Su Wei gradually calmed down and looked around. Every time she was at home, Xiaonan was busy serving her tea and water, and the house was full of life and energy. But now it felt cold and empty, and she felt strangely out of place. She suddenly thought about whether Xiaonan, when she came home late in the past, had also sat alone on the sofa, waiting for her return with all his heart. Back then, Xiaonan had called her many times, but Su Wei had found it annoying and ignored him, even turning off the phone. Was this how Xiaonan felt at that time? When people have free time, strange thoughts often come to mind, and she couldn't control it either. On the long, lonely night, Su Wei sat on the sofa, waiting, until the first light of dawn, when sleepiness finally overtook her, and she gradually leaned back and fell asleep. She didn't know how long had passed, but suddenly, the sound of the door's keypad lock beeped, waking her up. She turned her head towards the door and saw it slightly opening, and a figure walked in. Chapter 3. The person who walked in from the door was Xiaonan, holding a delicate gift box tightly in his hand. When Su Wei saw the person she had been waiting for all night finally appear, she couldn't contain her anger any longer. She walked towards Xiaonan step by step. However, Xiaonan calmly changed his shoes, looked up at Su Wei as if he didn't see her, and walked towards the sofa, completely ignoring Su Wei's glare, which seemed like it could pierce him. Seeing that Xiaonan had no intention of explaining, a surge of anger instantly filled Su Wei's heart. She shouted angrily, Xiaonan, stop right there. Xiaonan turned around and calmly looked at Su Wei. Su Wei hurried forward, too furious to control her emotions, and her chest was heaving with anger. Xiaonan, tell me, where did you go last night? Why didn't you come back all night? Do you know I waited for you at home the entire night? Su Wei questioned. Didn't you say you weren't coming home last night? Xiaonan asked, confused. His words caused Su Wei to freeze. She came to her senses and snapped, that's none of your business, is it? It's my home. I can come and go as I please. Do I need your approval? Still, you haven't told me why you didn't come back last night. And what's in your hand? Su Wei relentlessly pressed. Before Xiaonan could respond, Su Ye snatched the gift box from his hands and opened it. Inside was a beautifully vibrant purple ginseng, its branches and leaves lush, and its appearance was clear and translucent, definitely valuable. Recalling that Xiao Nan had once casually mentioned wanting to get some herbs to help her health, Su Ye guessed that Xiao Nan hadn't returned last night because he was getting this ginseng. Looking at Xiao Nan's attire, it was clear he wasn't wearing the suit from last night, which meant the person she had briefly seen the night before wasn't him. At this thought, Su Ye felt a small sense of triumph in her heart, but her face remained indifferent. Xiao Nan, don't think that just because you went to all this trouble and brought me this useless ginseng, I'll pretend nothing happened. Where did you go last night? Xiao Nan sat on the sofa, not even looking at the ginseng, and calmly replied, I went to an auction. After dinner with Lin Shuyan last night, Lin Shuyan had mysteriously told him that she wanted to take him to a very secretive place, which led them to the auction. The auction had all kinds of rare treasures, and when Xiao Nan saw the ginseng, he couldn't help but remember he had previously wanted to get a heavenly herb for Su Ye to improve her health. He became a bit distracted. The sharp-eyed Lin Shuyan noticed this and assumed that Xiao Nan wanted to buy it, so she bid for it and gave it to him. As for why he wasn't wearing the suit from last night, it was because after the auction, Lin Shuyan insisted on taking Xiao Nan to a bar. Lin Shuyan drank too much, and Xiao Nan had to take care of her. His clothes got dirty, so he had to change. What he didn't expect was that Su Ye would misinterpret the ginseng as something he had prepared specially for her. Xiao Nan couldn't be bothered to explain. Since she thought that way, he would let her. These things weren't important. After realizing that Xiao Nan's feelings for her were the same as before, Su Ye's attitude became more confident, and her gaze towards him changed slightly. In the future, don't play these teasing games. Be more grounded and don't use these tactics to get my attention. It only makes me annoyed, Su Ye said, yawning before turning and walking into her room. She had been waiting for Xiao Nan all night and hadn't slept well. Only after Su Ye left did Xiao Nan shake his head and smile. Su Ye had really gotten used to his kindness toward her. Now, even after all the subtle changes, she just assumed he was trying to attract her attention and care. Perhaps that was one of the sad truths about human nature. By noon, Xiao Nan received a phone call from Lin Shuyan. She sounded a bit apologetic about making him dirty the night before. Xiao Nan, I didn't mean to do that last night. It was just that I was so happy to have invited you for dinner and got carried away. I had a few too many drinks. You're not mad at me, are you? Her voice was soft and sweet. Even over the phone, Xiao Nan could imagine Lin Shuyan pouting as she spoke. Xiao Nan casually smiled, last night is already in the past. And besides, didn't you also give me a ginseng as a gift? Let's just call it even. You called me, so it's not just to apologize, right? Lin Shuyan laughed lightly, Xiao Nan, you're so clever. You're right. Actually, the real reason I'm calling is that the city's top socialite, my good friend, is hosting a masked ball tonight, and I want to invite you to be my partner. Xiao Nan vaguely remembered that in his previous life, Su Ye had attended this ball with Yuan Kilian, and it was there that Yuan Kilian had truly won her over. Now that he knew Yuan Kilian, his old enemy, would be attending, Xiao Nan naturally wouldn't miss the opportunity to take revenge. Of course, revenge couldn't be too obvious. Even though his current power wasn't as strong as when he was in the capital, there was an old saying, a dead camel is still bigger than a horse. Playing with Yuan Kilian would still be easy. But doing it too bluntly would be boring. Sure, I'll come find you in the afternoon, Xiao Nan agreed. Yay! Lin Shuyan's delighted voice came through the phone. Xiao Nan, to make up for what happened last night, I'm planning to give you a gift when we meet. Just wait, it will definitely surprise you. Lin Shuyan's tone was mysterious, with a hint of flirtation. After hanging up, Su Ye woke up shortly. She walked over to Xiao Nan casually and said, tonight, the city's top socialite is hosting a ball. I plan to invite you to go with me. With that, she turned and went into the bathroom to take a bath and get ready. Xiao Nan was a little puzzled. Su Ye had never mentioned anything about this to him. It wasn't until later that he learned from Lin Shuyan that this was the cause of everything. Could it be that after his rebirth, many things were subtly changing? Chapter 4. Xiao Nan was curious to see what Su Ye was up to. He wasn't in a hurry, and soon enough, Su Ye finished her grooming. Today, she wore a form-fitting dress that highlighted her already well-toned figure, making it no surprise that Yuan Kiliang found her so irresistible. Looking at her physique and beauty alone, it was natural for any man to feel attracted and want to possess her. However, Xiaonan knew that Yuan Kiliang didn't have genuine affection for Su Wei. He wasn't in love with her, he simply had ulterior motives. But that suited both of them, since neither of them were good-hearted, each with their own hidden agenda. Xiaonan, I've thought it over. You shouldn't come with me after all, Su Wei said as she approached him with her head held high. I just realized that this ball is very important for my business, and you won't be able to help. I'll just choose someone else to accompany me. Xiaonan smiled slightly, not bothering to get up from the sofa. All right, go ahead. All right? Su Wei was stunned for a moment. This was completely different from what she had imagined. Ever since yesterday, things had felt off. What is going on with Xiaonan? The reason she initially invited him to the ball and then changed her mind was because of how indifferent he had been after not coming home last night. His attitude was so indifferent that it frustrated her, and she wanted to tease his emotions this way. She thought that even if Xiaonan was trying to play hard to get, after all that had happened, he would have shown some kind of emotion, perhaps even anger. But to her disappointment, Xiaonan seemed like a machine with no emotions. No matter what she said or did, he remained unaffected, even his gaze no longer lingering on her as it used to. It was a huge difference. This indifference made Su Wei want to explode, but she took a deep breath, trying to control her feelings. Well, since you have no objections, I'll leave now. Su Wei tried to gauge his reaction as she walked toward the door, watching him closely to see if he was just pretending to be indifferent or truly didn't care. But even when she reached the door, Xiaonan's expression remained calm. Frustrated, she slammed the door behind her. Once she left, Xiaonan couldn't help but shake his head and chuckle. It seemed like Su Wei had noticed his emotional changes and was trying to test him. In his previous life, he hadn't played such games. But now, Xiaonan didn't care at all about anything she did. If it were his past self, knowing that Su Wei had shown emotional changes because of him, he would have probably been pleased. After Su Wei left, Xiaonan decided to go meet Lin Shuyun. He was looking forward to the surprise Lin Shuyun had mentioned. Her voice had carried a hint of allure, making him curious about what she had prepared. After freshening up, he changed into a grey suit. It was perfectly tailored to accentuate his tall figure and deep features. Even if he were living off someone else, countless women would willingly let him eat as long as it was him. Only Su Wei couldn't appreciate him. With Su Wei gone, Xiaonan no longer had any reason to stay home alone. He quickly texted Lin Shuyun, letting her know he was free now, and she immediately rushed over to pick him up. Today, Lin Shuyun didn't drive alone, she brought a driver in a luxury business car. The front and rear areas of the car were partitioned, so the driver didn't know what was happening in the back. As soon as Xiaonan got in, his heart skipped a beat. Seeing the setup of the car, he instinctively looked at Lin Shuyun. She was looking at him with a shy, almost seductive gaze. The next moment, she slowly untied the belt of her coat, revealing a black lace slip dress underneath. The dress looked like sleepwear, accentuating her curvy figure. Her slender waist and long legs, clad in red banded stockings, were irresistible, and the whole outfit was enough to set any man's heart racing. Even Xiaonan, having just been reborn, couldn't help but feel a rush of desire, though he managed to stay composed. Lin Shuyun noticed Xiaonan's gaze and seemed pleased, feeling that she was still attractive to him. Xiaonan took a deep breath, but his eyes remained fixed on her alluring figure. Is this the gift you prepared for me, Miss Lin? He asked. At first, Lin Shuyun was shy, but as she opened her coat completely, her bashfulness faded. Hearing Xiaonan's question, she smiled mischievously, slowly rising from her seat and moving closer to him. Her voice was like a siren's, seductive and captivating. How do you like this gift? Would you like to take it further? Chapter 5. Lin Shuyun's eyes were filled with an indescribable charm, and she looked at Xiaonan with a little aggression. The more embarrassed Xiaonan felt, the more she felt that it was interesting for her to do so. Looking carefully at the offensive intentions revealed in Lin Shuyun's eyes, Xiaonan knew that if he kept giving in, Lin Shuyun would probably enjoy this aggressive pleasure even more. That's what you call, the more excited I am. Thinking of this, he hugged Lin Shuyun without hesitation and pressed her down on the sofa. This sudden move caught Lin Shuyun off guard. She exclaimed, her heart beat violently, like a deer running wildly, her face involuntarily flushed with shyness, and her chest was surging like waves. Lin Shuyun looked up and met Xiao Nan's deep and aggressive gaze, which was like two lightning bolts that struck her heart, making her subconsciously feel her heart tremble. What happened to Xiao Nan? Why did she feel something was wrong today? It should be said that she felt something was unusual since yesterday. Instead of distancing herself from him as before, she felt that Xiao Nan was actually getting closer to her intentionally or unintentionally. Lin Shuyun took this approach because she felt that her relationship with Xiao Nan was not close enough and wanted to use this approach to bring them closer. She had never thought that Xiao Nan would respond to her enthusiastically. In the past, Xiao Nan mostly resisted her intimate actions. Today, Lin Shuyun mustered up the courage to do this, not only because she was shy and afraid that Xiao Nan would be angry, but also because she felt that Xiao Nan's attitude towards her was different from before, so she dared to make this seemingly offensive move. But Xiao Nan's reaction still confused her. Xiao Nan's deep voice slowly rang out, "Ms. Lin seems to trust me very much. She dares to be so bold in front of me. Doesn't Miss Lin treat me as a man? Otherwise, how dare you dress like this in front of a man and show it to me on purpose? This is obviously a provocation to me." His voice was full of danger, and he approached Lin Shuyun step by step. The distance between the two was infinitely close, their noses were facing each other, and the hot air exhaled between their lips hit her face, making Lin Shuyun feel an inexplicable heartbeat. This time, Xiao Nan did not avoid her enthusiasm again. Lin Shuyun was happy in her heart, looked at Xiao Nan provocatively, and blinked. Our Mr. Xiao is very principled and very observant of their husband's authority. Even if I dress like this, even if I stand naked in front of you, you will not look at me more, and only have that woman in your heart, and you will not pay attention to me at all. She seemed to be venting her grievances, muttered, and pursed her lips. Looking at Lin Shuyun's naive appearance, Xiao Nan could no longer control himself. In his previous life, this woman suffered too much for him, and even died because of him. Now that he is reborn, he no longer wants to let this woman wait. He knows what this woman wants, and these are exactly what he can give, so what if he gives it to her? After thinking about it, Xiao Nan did not hesitate at all, and instantly moved forward. Lin Shuyun felt a soft touch on her lips, and the two hugged each other tightly, and their lips pressed together. Lin Shuyun widened her beautiful eyes, and felt a warm current instantly flowing through her body, making her feel unprecedented warmth. She gradually closed her eyes and carefully felt the warmth brought to her by Xiao Nan. The car was still moving forward, and Xiao Nan and Lin Shuyun's passionate kiss continued. It was not until the driver opened the door that he saw Lin Shuyun's face was as red as a ripe apple, but with a satisfied smile on his face. When he got off the car again, Lin Shuyun had changed into a purple evening dress. After all, he was going to attend a dance tonight, and the windbreaker outside was not suitable. As for the one she was wearing inside, it was a gift prepared just for Xiao Nan, and other men didn't have the pleasure of seeing it. When Xiao Nan and Lin Shuyun arrived at the ball, many young second generations had already arrived. The ball was held in a garden in a villa area, and the parking lot was already full of all kinds of top luxury cars. Almost all the rich second generations in Jiangcheng came. After all, today was the masked ball of the city's chief daughter. No one would not give face to the city's chief daughter. It just depends on whether they are qualified to attend this banquet. When getting off the car, Xiao Nan and Lin Shuyun had already covered their masks. The mask on Xiao Nan's face was black and gold, and he looked handsome and extraordinary, like a king of the night. With the grey suit on his body, he looked like a noble gentleman. The nobleness revealed in his every move made many beautiful girls focus their eyes on him, which made Lin Shuyun jealous. She held Xiao Nan's arm more intimately, as if she wanted to declare to other women that this man belonged to her. This little girl's posture made Xiao Nan couldn't help but shake her head and smile, and her tenderness for Lin Shuyun in her heart became even stronger. "Xiao Nan, I'll take you to my good friend Ruoshue. Her room is not accessible to ordinary people." Lin Shuyun took Xiao Nan's hand and walked all their way. After passing through the crowd, they came to the inside of the villa. The interior of the villa was decorated with gold and jade, like a palace in the European period. Various famous paintings were placed on both sides of the corridor. The chandeliers were shining and the carpets were soft. It was like stepping on cotton when you stepped on it. It can be said that the word luxury was fully displayed. After walking through a long corridor, they came to the door of a room on the right side of the end. Lin Shuyun knocked on the door gently, and it opened after a while. Xiaonan saw the woman behind the door clearly. Her small oval face was adorned with extremely delicate features, and her eyes and eyebrows were full of charming temperament. She was wearing a blue evening dress, and she looked very noble. After seeing Lin Shuyun, there seemed to be stars in her eyes, and she was obviously very surprised. However, when she saw Xiaonan, she showed a trace of doubt. It seems that this is Lin Shuyun's good friend, Zhu Ruoxue, the daughter of the mayor of Jiancheng. After entering the room, Lin Shuyun took Xiaonan's hand and introduced enthusiastically, "Xiaoxue, let me introduce you, this is Xiaonan, you two can say hello to each other." Just when Xiaonan wanted to greet Zhu Ruoxue with a smile, there was a knock on the door, accompanied by a man's voice. "Hello, Miss Zhu, I am Yuan Kilian. I specially prepared a small gift for Miss Zhu this time. I hope Miss Zhu can come to open the door." Chapter 6. Yuan Kilian. Xiaonan's eyes turned cold when he heard this name, and he was naturally murderous for this enemy who killed him in his previous life. But he didn't expect this guy to come so quickly. Lin Shuyun, who was standing aside, naturally noticed Xiaonan's subtle expression, and immediately understood what he should do, so he walked to Zhu Ruoshue's ear and whispered a few words. Zhu Ruoxue walked over and opened the door, and it was Yuan Kilian standing outside the door. In front of Zhu Ruoxue, he took off his mask, revealing a Korean-style slicked back hair with a flattering smile on his lips. Behind him, there was Suwaye, who was wearing a pink mask. Although he didn't see her face clearly, Xiaonan could still recognize her at a glance based on his familiar aura over the years. It was indeed Suwaye. It seemed that there was no difference from the previous life. Suwaye finally followed Yuan Kilian to the party. Before Yuan Kilian had time to take out the gift, Zhu Ruoxue said first, "If you have any gifts, wait until the banquet really starts." Yuan Kilian stopped his hand that was about to take out the gift, nodded, and pulled Suwaye to his side, smiling and said to Zhu Ruoxue, "Miss Zhu, let me introduce you, this is Miss Suyasu, one of the 5 outstanding young entrepreneurs in Jiancheng, and I also want to visit Miss Zhu this time." Zhu Ruoxue glanced at Suwaye, who was about to take off the mask on her face to introduce herself, but Zhu Ruoxue had already closed the door first, leaving Suwaye with an embarrassed face. At the moment the door was closed, Suwaye's eyelids jumped, and she saw a straight figure standing behind Zhu Ruoxue. She only saw the side of the man. Although he was also wearing a mask, his figure made Suwaye feel short of breath. With a click, the door was closed. Suwaye had not yet come to her senses. What was going on? "I vaguely saw Xiaonan last night, and today I saw the familiar man behind Zhu Ruoxue. Could it be that I was hallucinating?" With the previous experience, Suwaye did not think much about seeing Xiaonan, and simply thought that she must have hallucinated again. After closing the door, Yuan Kilian showed off to Suwaye with a proud face. "Xiaoye, you see, Miss Zhu didn't let me give her the gift now, but wait until the banquet starts, which means she wants to give me a chance to show off in front of everyone. Miss Zhu already knows your name just now, and I will introduce you to Miss Zhu when I give her the gift." Suwaye nodded. "Thank you, Kilian." Yuan Kilian waved his hand generously. "What's the matter?" "As long as you are happy, Xiaoye, even if you want more connections, I can introduce them all to you." Inside the house, Zhu Ruoxue and Xiaonan had already met. Because of Xiaonan's temperament in his every move, Zhu Ruoxue couldn't help but look at Xiaonan twice more. She said with a smile, "I finally saw your true face, Mr. Xiao. You don't know, Shuyun mentioned your name so many times in my ears that I almost got calluses. Now I finally know why Shuyun is so obsessed with you, Mr. Xiao." Xiaonan glanced at Lin Shuyun, who lowered her head in shame. Xiaonan smiled and said, "Miss Zhu is polite, it's just that Shuyun is more flattering to me." The two met and had a good first impression of each other. Time passed by bit, the sun set and the moon rose, and soon it was time for the ball to start. As their host, Zhu Ruoxue naturally had some preparations to do, so Lin Shuyun and Xiaonan took the lead to wander around the ball. But as soon as he appeared, Xiaonan saw Suwaye and Yuan Kilian among a group of people. Suwaye was chatting and laughing with some young people dressed up brightly. Wearing a mask made her more mysterious, and her exquisite figure also made people imagine and fantasize. She had a proud smile as always, and her eyes were full of ambition. Xiaonan thought about it carefully and found that Suwaye had not really changed from beginning to end. She was still her. It was just that he didn't know her before. He met Suwaye in college. At that time, he came out of the family to gain experience and concealed his identity, but the nobleness and calmness on his body were the real points that attracted Su Wei. From these places, Su Wei could realize that Xiao Nan's identity was not simple. Later, Xiao Nan told Su Wei that his identity was just an ordinary person whose family did a little business, which attracted Su Wei even more. In order to match his identity, Xiao Nan also indirectly used the assistance given by the family when doing certain things. Because of Su Wei, Xiao Nan secretly fell out with his family. Later, Xiao Nan told Su Wei that his family's business was not good and went bankrupt, but he also left a sum of money for Su Wei to start a company. In order to let Su Wei fight better outside, Xiao Nan quit his job and stayed to give her a better life. He gave up the opportunity to fight outside, otherwise, with Xiao Nan's own strength and his knowledge from a big family since he was a child, he could build a business empire even without relying on the family. It's a pity that Su Wei can't see these advantages of Xiao Nan, and naturally thinks that Xiao Nan's goodness is what he should do. Xiao Nan, don't look. While Xiao Nan was thinking, his waist was suddenly pinched. Xiao Nan took a breath of cold air in pain. Looking back, it turned out that Lin Shuyan pouted his mouth and widened his watery eyes, looking at him with dissatisfaction. Don't look at that woman again. You are the man I brought with me, and you belong to me. Xiao Nan touched Lin Shuyan's head and smiled lovingly. Okay, you are right, it is my fault. From now on, I promise to only focus on you. Lin Shuyan snorted, that's better. Until the night fell completely, the whole villa was covered by a spotlight, and Zhu Ruoshua made a grand appearance. As soon as she appeared, everyone stopped talking and looked at her at the same time. Zhu Ruoshua is worthy of being the daughter of a noble family. In terms of her temperament, she is not comparable to ordinary women. She smiled and said, "Thank you all for coming to this masked ball I held. My original intention is to let everyone, regardless of their status, make more friends through this way. I hope everyone can have fun." As soon as their voice fell, Yuan Kiliang stood up and said with his head held high, "Miss Zhu, how could you come to the banquet this time empty-handed?" I prepared a gift to thank Miss Zhu for hosting the banquet. Chapter 7. As soon as these words came out, Yuan Kiliang instantly attracted the attention of everyone present, and everyone started to discuss. What a pity. Before we came here today, why didn't we think that since it was a banquet, there was no reason to visit empty-handed? Now it's too late to prepare gifts. Who is this person? He is so knowledgeable about the ways of the world. Alas, what a pity. This is a great opportunity to curry favor with Miss Zhu. We are afraid we will miss it. It's disgusting. You are secretly taking advantage of us, right? You have to fight for it even if you attend a banquet. Listening to the discussions of the people around him, the smile on Yuan Kiliang's mouth became more and more obvious. Su Wei stood beside Yuan Kiliang, and naturally enjoyed the attention of everyone. It was this feeling, the feeling of being admired by everyone. These eyes were something she had never enjoyed when she was with Xiao Nan. As long as she was with Yuan Kiliang, she could always enjoy this kind of eyes. She thought about it, if she really came to the dance with Xiao Nan today, Xiao Nan would definitely embarrass her. It was a wise move for her not to bring Xiao Nan with her. But she still felt a little unhappy when she thought of Xiao Nan's indifferent attitude towards her. After enjoying a period of flattery, Yuan Kiliang coughed lightly, and then took out his things, a scroll. The scroll was spread out, simple and elegant, showing the beautiful charm of time and space. This is a work by Tang Bohu in the Tang dynasty, named Autumn Wind and Moon Viewing. This is what I specially asked for from a collection master with my friends. At that time, the master was very distressed and reluctantly gave it up. I heard that Miss Zhu has always liked ancient calligraphy and paintings very much, so I specially went through a lot to get this one, hoping that Miss Zhu would like it. Tang Bohu's calligraphy and paintings were actually given at an ordinary dance. Yuan Kiliang was looking forward to seeing Ruoshua pay more attention to him. The expected surprise expression did not appear, and Zhu Ruoshua's expression seemed unusually plain. Although Yuan Kiliang was a little disappointed, he still planned to hand over the scroll in his hand. At this moment, a man's voice suddenly sounded, "A fake painting is so embarrassing. Who is talking?" Yuan Kiliang was like a cat whose tail was stepped on. He widened his eyes and looked at the person who was talking. Everyone also looked at the source of the voice and made way. Only a tall man in a grey suit took a step forward. Beside him, there was a woman in a purple evening dress. Both of them wore masks, and their true faces were not clear, but they showed a temperament that ordinary people did not have, which made people more curious about their identities. Yuan Kiliang stared at Xiao Nan in anger. Who are you? How dare you say that the things I gave you are fake? I know, you want to slander me in this way because you can't give a gift, right? Su Ye's eyelids jumped when she saw Xiao Nan. Are you sure this man is not Xiao Nan? They are so similar. Although their figures and eyebrows were covered, they have been together for such a long time. She can see that this man is exactly the same as Xiao Nan. Could it be him? As soon as this thought came up, she felt that she was scaring herself. Last night, she also thought that the man was Xiao Nan. Today, she thought so again. I guess it's just that this man and Xiao Nan look a little similar. However, the temperament of the two is very different. Yuan Kiliang's friends heard that the gift Yuan Kiliang sent was slandered, and they all said something sarcastic to him at this time. I think it's probably because I didn't prepare a gift, and I was jealous when I saw others prepared it. I deliberately did this here. This kind of person is really disgusting. I thought this kind of person only existed in that kind of low-class society, but I didn't expect that there are even people in our circle. It seems that I have to open my eyes more in the future. Everyone's eyes gradually became contentious, and they looked at Xiao Nan with unkind eyes. What nonsense are you talking about? You are right to give a fake. My husband doesn't need to wrongly accuse you. My husband has traveled all over the country in the past few years. He has seen everything. If you say that the things you gave are fake, then they are fake. Lin Shuyun couldn't stand it anymore and spoke up for Xiao Nan. Xiao Nan turned his head and glanced at the woman beside him. Seeing her eager to defend herself, his heart warmed and he smiled slightly, not in a hurry. Tang Bohu's autumn wind and moon viewing is currently in the hands of Wang Anjuan, the eldest son of the Wang family in Beijing. If their autumn wind and moon viewing in your hand is real, it means that the young master of the Wang family bought a fake. Xiao Nan asked. What nonsense are you talking about? Yuan Kiliang immediately became anxious. The Wang family, or the people of the Wang family in Beijing, are not something he can slander casually. Even if it is just a joke, if it really gets to someone's ears and they feel dissatisfied with it, the price he has to pay is not ordinary painful. Xiao Nan smiled slowly and said, since you think the original painting in young Master Wang's hand is not a fake, then you can only say that the thing in your hand is a fake. Or are you very familiar with young Master Wang, and you bought this painting from him? Yuan Kiliang seemed to have found his backbone at this moment. His eyes lit up, and he immediately said, that's right. I bought it from young Master Wang, so what about you? Didn't you just say that you bought it from a collection master? That collection master can't be young Master Wang. Don't make a fuss. Xiao Nan's move set off a huge uproar. The topic of the Wang family, and the eldest young master of the Wang family, can be related to such a person. Yuan Kiliang naturally has a different reaction. Those who know Yuan Kiliang looked at each other, and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. When did Yuan Kiliang and the eldest young master of the Wang family know each other? These, of course, they would not ask. Well, since you said you bought it from young Master Wang, you must be quite familiar with him. Xiao Nan asked with a smile. Yuan Kiliang frowned slightly. Not very familiar, just an ordinary trading relationship. Why are you talking about this and that? What do you want to say? Xiao Nan shrugged. I don't want to say anything, but since I raised such doubts at this banquet today, it is hard to guarantee that everyone will have doubts about whether this thing is real or fake. I guess you don't want people to doubt whether the thing in Miss Ju's hand is real or fake. In this case, there is a good way to prove it. Since you took the painting back from young Master Wang, the two of them must have contact information. Why don't you call young Master Wang to see if the original painting in young Master Wang's hand has really come into your hands? What do you think? Yuan Kiliang's face turned green after he said this. Chapter 8. Yuan Kiliang looked grim. I wonder if you have a problem with your brain. I just bought this painting from young Master Wang. Do you think young Master Wang is as idle as you for such a small matter? Yuan Kiliang's friends came forward to help. Why are you so persistent? You said it was for Miss Lin's good, but I think you have a mental problem and can't stand seeing others doing well. You clown who is trying to attract attention, stop showing off here, get out of here, we don't want to see you embarrassed, get out as far as you can. For a while, Xiao Nan became the target of public criticism, facing the verbal battles of the crowd. However, there were also some people who watched the excitement and did not mind the trouble. They were dissatisfied with the gifts prepared by Yuan Kiliang. Now that they saw Xiaonan standing up and being the first to speak out, they naturally agreed. I think what this gentleman said is not wrong. Since he knows where the original autumn wind and moon viewing picture is, it is necessary to find out the whole story. Why are you so panicked? The truth is not in the loudness of the voice. If the thing in your hand is real, then verifying it can just prove your innocence. Why not do it? Unless you are guilty. It was originally just a small storm, but now it has become a confrontation between two equally powerful forces. Just when the atmosphere became more and more anxious and deadlocked, Zhu Ruoxue finally spoke. Since this gentleman is so confident that this painting may be fake, then Master Yuan, I think no matter what, we have to come to a conclusion. Regardless of whether this painting is given to me, I think this gentleman's original intention is to hope that Mr. Yuan will not be deceived by some people. As Zhu Ruoxue spoke, everyone fell into a dead silence, and no one spoke again. No matter how much they said, it was not as practical as Zhu Ruoxue, the person involved, who made the final decision. After all, this banquet was hosted by someone else, and Yuan Kiliang's gift was also to be given to someone else. Someone else wanted to verify the authenticity. What else could they say? Yuan Kiliang's expression froze. He never expected Zhu Ruoxue to speak. No matter what anyone else said, he had reasons to refute, but Zhu Ruoxue's request was the only one he could not refuse. Lin Shuyan's mouth curled up a beautiful arc. This man was really a fool. He had greeted Zhu Ruoxue in advance. Lin Shuyan said that Yuan Kiliang bullied her. As Lin Shuyan's good girlfriend, Zhu Ruoxue naturally had to help her girlfriend get rid of this bad breath. In this way, Yuan Kiliang was embarrassed. Su Ye stood there, not knowing whether Yuan Kiliang got this painting from the so-called eldest son of the Wang family. She could see that Yuan Kiliang was very nervous at this time, and her heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Yuan Kiliang was really lying? If that was the case, she didn't care about Yuan Kiliang. What she cared about was that she came with Yuan Kiliang. Wouldn't other people look at her differently? Do you think you are a liar? Lin Shuyan happened to add another knife at this time. Mr. Yuan, didn't you say that this thing is real? You don't care about what others say, but now our protagonist has asked you to verify the authenticity. You won't even give this face. Yuan Kiliang is in a dilemma. Under the watchful eyes of the public, it is really hard to find other reasons at this time. In desperation, he could only take out his mobile phone. The eldest son of the Wang family is naturally not an acquaintance, but he has always had his contact information in his mobile phone, just waiting for someday to have some relationship with him. Now, even if he doesn't want to make this call, he can't do it. If he makes a call, he is afraid that he will offend others. But if he doesn't make a call now, he will offend Zhu Ruoxue, and he will not be able to survive in Jiangcheng in the future. Although he was wearing a mask, it was better than nothing. Basically, anyone who had been in contact with him could tell that it was him. It was impossible to hide his identity. At this moment, he actually felt a little regretful. If he had known this, he would not have come out to give any so-called gifts, and he would not be in such an embarrassing situation as now. Although he felt guilty, he still had to do his best to save face. Yuan Kiliang snorted coldly and looked at Xiaonan. You want to tell me that this thing of mine is fake, but it is too hasty to decide whether this thing of mine is real or fake just based on your few words. Since you want to verify the authenticity of this thing, there is a price to pay. If I call and this thing is real, you have to kneel down and kowtow to apologize for what you said just now. Yuan Kiliang pointed to the water of life placed not far away, and you have to drink 3 bottles of water of life. Do you dare or not? Yuan Kiliang thought of this method in a hurry. Didn't Xiaonan always force him? That's because he didn't have to pay any price to say this, so he was naturally not afraid. Once this condition was said, Xiaonan would definitely be scared off. If Xiaonan didn't dare to agree to it, it would be his fault. He could not only get away with it, but also make this kid pay the price he deserved, and also promote his reputation. It was the best of both worlds. He almost laughed out loud. Zhu Ruoxue frowned slightly. She never thought that Yuan Kiliang was so cunning that he could think of such a sinister trick at this time. If Xiaonan suddenly admitted his defeat at this time, it would not be Yuan Kiliang who would lose face, but him. Without absolute certainty, it was unwise to do this. After this was said, many people who wanted to curry favor with Yuan Kiliang laughed out loud at the same time. That's right, words can cause trouble. You can't just say it casually without paying any price. If you dare to wrongly accuse someone, you must bear the consequences. Why don't you apologize to our young master Yuan as soon as possible? Our young master Yuan will not make things too difficult for you for Miss Ju's sake. Give you a way out and get out of it quickly. Yuan Kiliang breathed a sigh of relief. He thought that at this point, his danger should be lifted. Xiao Nan would not dare to make this bet with him no matter what. Zhu Ruoxue saw that Xiao Nan hadn't spoken for such a long time, and thought he was afraid. She was about to speak to help, but she didn't expect Xiao Nan to smile lightly. Okay. Chapter 9. As Xiao Nan said this, Yuan Kiliang's smile froze on his face. He even seriously suspected that he had hallucinations. He looked at Xiao Nan again and saw the eyes under the mask, and the smile in his eyes. But in that smile, there was a hint of sarcasm, as if he was mocking himself as a clown. At the same time, there was an arc at the corner of his mouth, which made Yuan Kiliang feel angry that he was fooled. Under this anger, Yuan Kiliang had an impulse to kill Xiao Nan. He repeated and confirmed again, "What did you say? Did you agree?" Xiao Nan nodded, "Yes, I did agree. Didn't you say that it was unfair for me not to pay any price?" "I think so too. I agree. If your thing is true and I have wronged you, then I am willing to kneel down and kowtow to apologize to you." Originally, when Yuan Kiliang said this, many people thought that Xiao Nan would definitely choose to retreat at this time and would not continue to rush forward. After all, if it were them, they would definitely do this. Why do so many people like to be trolls on the internet? It's because they don't have to pay any price. But when they really have to face it in reality, they are scared. Everyone wanted to see more excitement. They thought Xiao Nan would retreat. Now it seems that they were wrong. The man in front of him was either a fool or really had such ability. Lin Shuyun happened to add at this time, "Mr. Yuan, you asked my husband to kneel down and apologize, and drink 3 bottles of water of life. There is no problem with this. But if this thing is fake, then you should kneel down and apologize like my husband, apologize to my husband, and be responsible for what you said. You should be the same." As soon as this was said, more and more people watched the excitement and agreed. That's right, we all think that since we want fairness, it must be absolutely fair. The condition you put forward must also bear the corresponding consequences. Something is wrong, 100% wrong. Yuan Kiliang felt that he always shot himself in the foot these few times. Originally, it was a gift, and he wanted to show off in front of Zhu Ruoxue and let everyone know about his status. But the inexplicable appearance of Xiao Nan broke his fantasy. After that, he thought he had found a point to check and balance Xiao Nan, but he never thought that Xiao Nan found the most fatal and critical blow, and put him in a dilemma. Who is this person? What hatred did he have with him in his previous life? It's just that he wants to show off, is it so difficult? Zhu Ruoxue was also a little surprised that Xiao Nan would agree. She glanced at her best friend Lin Shuyun, and when she saw the smile in Lin Shuyun's eyes, she knew that she couldn't say anything more. She naturally wanted to lend a helping hand to her best friend, and she stood up at the right time. "Since both of you have agreed, let me be a witness and judge for you." Yuan Kiliang turned his head mechanically and looked at Zhu Ruoxue. He really wanted to leave the banquet immediately. He wanted to cry but had no tears. He even thought that Zhu Ruoxue was deliberately pitting him. Why did Zhu Ruoxue have a vague feeling of helping Xiao Nan no matter what she said today? But after thinking about it, she felt that she must have been wrong. Anyway, Zhu Ruoxue had no relationship with the people in front of her. Did she need to calculate herself in this way? In fact, Yuan Kiliang's idea was not wrong. Zhu Ruoxue was indeed intentionally favoring Lin Shuyun. Now that the words have come to this point, it would be really his own fault if he refused. After thinking about it for a long time, Yuan Kiliang had no choice but to grit his teeth and stretch out his finger to dial the phone. His fingers were originally very light, but at this moment, Yuan Kiliang felt that they were extremely heavy. How much he didn't want to press the answer button, but he had no choice. Finally, the call was made. Every time the phone rang, Yuan Kiliang's heart beat. Not only was he nervous, but others were also nervous. They didn't know whether the call would be connected. If it was connected, what kind of answer would Master Wang give? This answer was related to the fate of the two. So YA couldn't help but be aroused. She also wanted to know who would win and who would lose in the fight between this man who looked like Xiao Nan and Yuan Kiliang. The phone rang for a long time, and no one answered until the phone stopped ringing. The phone was not answered, and Yuan Kiliang's tense mind also fell at that moment. Fortunately, this was the best outcome. He immediately put away his phone, and then he realized that he had been sweating all over his back without realizing it, and his clothes were wet. This was a matter of face. If he lost, he would not be able to raise his head in the future. Yuan Kiliang immediately put away his phone and said, "Master Wang did not answer the phone. It is obvious that he is a busy man. Boy, you are lucky. Since Master Wang did not answer the phone, forget it. I can let bygones be bygones, and let the bet be settled this time." Yuan Kiliang's words were filled with an indescribable joy. Zhu Ruoxue was relieved that the call did not go through. She did not know Xiao Nan's specific strength, but no matter what, this matter was still related to the Wang family in Beijing. For the sake of her good girlfriends, it is better to try to participate less in such family affairs. If there is any trouble, it will not be good. A group of friends behind Yuan Kiliang also laughed at him again at the same time. "Oh my god, this kid is so lucky, isn't he? God helps him every day. Yes, this kid is really lucky. If Master Wang wasn't busy now, once the call was connected, this kid would have to kneel down and lose face. More than kneeling down is secondary, he also has to drink 3 bottles of water of life. That is a strong liquor with a concentration of more than 90 degrees. If he drinks it, he will probably lose half of his life. No, there is no way it can be considered that this kid is lucky. Alas, why is this world so bloody? Forget it." Su Wei saw that the call did not go through. Although she didn't know whether what Yuan Kiliang said was true or false, she couldn't help but feel that a big stone in her heart suddenly fell to the ground. Seeing that Yuan Kiliang was about to continue speaking, unexpectedly, at this time, Xiao Nan's mouth corners were slightly raised again. Seeing Xiao Nan smile, Yuan Kiliang's heart suddenly skipped a beat. What does this kid want to do again? Xiao Nan said slowly, "You said he is not free. Why don't I give him a call?" Chapter 10. Master Qingtang. Everyone was confused. What did they hear? They actually heard the man in front of them was going to call the eldest young master of the Wang family in Beijing. Who is this man? As soon as this was said, everyone's expressions became complicated and changeable. At first, they were just watching the fun, thinking that Xiao Nan stood up just because he couldn't stand Yuan Kiliang's involutionary behavior and wanted to embarrass Yuan Kiliang in this way. But if Xiao Nan could really call the eldest young master of the Wang family in Beijing, the nature of this matter would be completely different. Even Yuan Kiliang. He opened his eyes in disbelief, feeling a little timid. Xiao Nan took out his mobile phone without any hesitation and dialed a number. Not only did the others not believe it, even Lin Shuyun couldn't help but look at Xiao Nan. She didn't know Xiao Nan very well, and now she was very surprised to hear that Xiao Nan wanted to call the eldest son of the Wang family. Beep. The phone was connected after only 2 rings. In order not to reveal his identity, Xiao Nan did not turn on the speakerphone immediately, but smiled at the other end of the phone. "Old man, do you still remember me? I want to confirm something with you." Xiao Nan's preemptive speech made Wang Zhijun on the other end understand that Xiao Nan did not want to reveal his identity. Xiao Nan handed the phone to Yuan Kiliang, turned on the speakerphone, and said with a smile, "Young Master Wang has something to tell you. Didn't you say that you bought this painting from young Master Wang? Answer it." Yuan Kiliang's eyes widened, his expression tense, his soul was about to leave his body. This person actually called Wang Zhijun, the eldest son of the Wang family. No matter what, this call had to be answered. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Yuan Kiliang reached out to take the phone, his hands were full of sweat, and he finally put the phone to his ear. "Hello." Yuan Kiliang tentatively shouted to the other end of the phone. No matter whether the other party was real or fake, at least the identity of the eldest son of the Wang family was enough to make him treat it with caution. A man's cold voice came from the other end of the phone, and a kind of high and extremely huge pressure could be felt from the words. Yuan Kiliang's legs softened involuntarily. He had no intention of verifying whether the identity of the person on the other end of the phone was real or fake, and he just hoped to end this matter as soon as possible. "Master Wang." Yuan Kiliang's throat moved and he shouted to the other end of the phone. "When did the original work in my hand come into your hands? You said the one you have is the original, or did you buy it from me? How about this, you come to Beijing tomorrow, and I will pick you up at the airport in person. I am very curious, what is the difference between the original painting in your hand and the one in my hand? Yuan Kiliang was almost scared to death when he heard this. He could hear the strong hostility in Wang Zhejun's tone. If he really dared to go to Beijing, he probably wouldn't be able to come back. He hurriedly explained, Master Wang, you misunderstood, I was joking with you. Since the original is in your hand, this painting must be fake. I went through so much trouble, but I never thought that I would buy a fake. Yuan Kiliang had no courage to resist in front of Wang Zhejun, and immediately admitted his mistake. Wang Zhejun obviously didn't want to let Yuan Kiliang go easily. He said coldly, you'd better come to Beijing, I also want to see the painting in your hand and compare the two paintings between you and me to see which one is real and which one is fake. This is a typical case of not letting Yuan Kiliang go. Yuan Kiliang was so anxious that he was about to cry. He could only look at Xiao Nan with a pleading look, hoping that Xiao Nan could plead for him. He also felt that his operation was confusing. After all, how could Xiao Nan plead for him? But so far, he could only put his hopes on him. But he didn't expect Xiao Nan to actually speak at this moment. Old buddy, let's talk about it later. As for the things here, you don't have to think about it anymore. Xiao Nan took the phone back, said hello to the other end, and cancelled the hands-free. Wang Zhejun was silent for a moment before saying, Brother, this is the first time you have contacted me in all these years. No matter what, are you really not going back to the Xiao family? Grandpa Xiao has missed you a lot these years, and his health is getting worse. When can you come back to Beijing to see him? Xiao Nan was also silent for a moment before answering, let's talk about it later. He took a deep breath. Return to the family. He only thought about this when Yuan Kiliang and Su Wei broke his tendons. If he hadn't left the family at that time, maybe everything would be different. However, at that time, returning to the family had become a luxury. In theory, Xiao Nan was still a descendant of the Xiao family in Beijing. No matter what, he wouldn't die at the hands of others if he betrayed the family. The main reason was that not long after Xiao Nan's accident, the Xiao family in Beijing also had an accident. The Xiao family has always been ruled by Xiao Nan's grandfather, but because of Xiao Nan's incident, Xiao Nan's grandfather's health deteriorated and he eventually lay on the hospital bed. At that time, the Xiao family also thought that Xiao Nan was too ruthless. They felt that after Xiao Nan left the family, even the most important, the grandfather who loved him, didn't care about his life or death. But at that time, Xiao Nan had already been imprisoned and lived a life worse than death. This series of misunderstandings can be said to be all because of Yuan Kiliang. As for why he helped Yuan Kiliang speak, it was because Xiao Nan still had many means of revenge that he had not used. If it was just to kill Yuan Kiliang, it would be too simple. Xiao Nan took a deep breath, retracted his gaze, and put the phone back in his pocket. Then, he looked up and looked at Yuan Kiliang and others with a smile on his face. The others also kept absolute silence, and no one spoke. They all wanted to see how the next thing should be solved. It was not until a long time after the phone was hung up that Yuan Kiliang came back to his senses. He saw Xiao Nan staring at him, and he was shocked again, and a sense of uneasiness surged in his heart again. Chapter 11. Everyone thought the outcome was set, and Yuan Kiliang couldn't think of any tricks. Unexpectedly, after a while, Yuan Kiliang rolled his eyes, straightened his suit, shook his head and smiled, Boy, I have to say, you are really a smart man. I almost got fooled by you. Fooled? What do you mean? Someone asked, puzzled. Yuan Kiliang looked around and said slowly, the matter is very simple. This kid asked his friends to pretend to be the eldest son of the Wang family and wanted to deceive me. I was almost scared by you just now. But now I think about it carefully, it's impossible. Yuan Kiliang was a little unsure of his thoughts at first. Now, after listening to what he said, he thought more and more that it was possible, so he continued, Do you know why the so-called eldest son of the Wang family asked me to go to the capital just now? He took the initiative to speak for me and asked the eldest son of the Wang family not to be angry with me. It's not that he is kind, the fundamental reason is that this eldest son of the Wang family is fake. If I really went to the capital, then the conspiracy would be exposed. As Yuan Kiliang said this, everyone immediately showed a look of sudden enlightenment. If you put it this way, it seems to be true. If the eldest son of the Wang family on the phone just now is real, according to the bet between Xiao Nan and Yuan Kiliang, the other party must want to kill Yuan Kiliang. But Xiao Nan did the opposite. It seems unlikely that Xiaonan is soft-hearted. If they were Xiaonan, they would definitely pursue their victory fiercely if they had an absolute chance of winning. How could they be willing to let Yuan Kiliang escape so easily? Yuan Kiliang continued, "Boy, this trick is really insidious. You want to use this method to deceive me, but unfortunately I still saw through you." When the call was made just now, all the friends around Yuan Kiliang were shocked and thought that this matter was troublesome. After all, the identity of the other party was not simple. Just now, they followed Yuan Kiliang to say that he was wrong. Once this result came out, they would also be hated by others. Now after hearing this, they instantly felt that a stone in their hearts fell to the ground. Someone immediately retorted mercilessly, "This kid is really insidious. These tricks one after another really disappoint me. Fortunately, our young master Yuan is smart, otherwise he would have been deceived. Kick this kid out. Our party doesn't need such a pretentious person." Everyone was excited, and Xiaonan's advantage was instantly swept away. Lin Shuyun couldn't control himself. Seeing that the other party was so shameless, he couldn't help but curse, "How can you be so shameless? When you called just now, you were scared like a grandson, timid, and I almost peed my pants when I heard you. Now that the phone is hung up, you are fine again. I really don't know if the women around you feel very ashamed now for such a shameless person like you. No, for a person like you, are there any women willing to follow you?" Lin Shuyun's words made Yuan Kiliang's face pale and furious, and even Su Ye beside him looked ugly. Su Ye was not sure whether what Yuan Kiliang said was true or false, but she also felt that Yuan Kiliang's current behavior was somewhat unkind. This was the first time she felt that Yuan Kiliang's behavior was extremely despicable. In the past, she felt that Yuan Kiliang could bring all kinds of honors to the world, and he was still a good person. But after this incident, she suddenly felt that the man in front of her could not be deeply befriended. His temperament was extremely wretched in front of the man wearing a mask and looking like Xiaonan, just like a dirty rat hiding in the sewer seeing the light, and the impression was so strong. Yuan Kiliang wanted to play shamelessness to the end, and sneered, "Am I wrong? The matter itself is like this. Who can prove that the man is really the eldest son of the Wang family? No one can prove it. Since it cannot be proved, it is very likely to be false. Some people think that Yuan Kiliang is shameless, but some people have to admire that he is really smart. In any case, these little cleverness are there, and he has easily resolved the troubles several times." Unexpectedly, Zhu Ruoxue on the side spoke again at this time. "I talked to Master Wang when I went to Beijing with my father to attend a banquet." The voice of the person on the phone just now was indeed Master Wang's. As Zhu Ruoxue, the protagonist, spoke, many people echoed, "Yes, although I talked less with Master Wang, it was not that we had no communication at all. I also think that the voice was indeed Master Wang's. I don't know about others, but our Miss Zhu said that this matter is true, which means that the person who called just now was indeed Master Wang's eldest son. I have to say that this Yuan is really bold. He knew that this gentleman was a friend of Master Wang, but he dared to slander him like this. He really doesn't know how to write the word death." Yuan Kiliang stared at Zhu Ruoxue blankly. Why did Zhu Ruoxue get involved again? He could have held back, but at this moment he really couldn't hold it back, and almost subconsciously blurted out, "Miss Zhu, why? Why do you keep helping them?" As soon as he said this, Yuan Kiliang realized that he had said the wrong thing. Sure enough, Zhu Ruoxue's face gradually turned cold. "What do you mean by this? I just said that you can make this bet, I can be your witness, and I will only be the referee for the bet between you two, and I will not help either of you. Now you inexplicably say that I am unfair for helping others. No, I don't mean that." Yuan Kiliang wanted to explain anxiously. "What does that mean?" Zhu Ruoxue continued to ask. Yuan Kiliang felt like a lump in his throat for a while, and he couldn't say what he wanted to say anymore. At this point, it was meaningless to continue to forcefully refute, and it would only make himself more and more embarrassed. After a mental struggle, even if Yuan Kiliang didn't want to admit it, he had to grit his teeth and lower his head. "I lost." Su Ye on the side remained silent, she just felt extremely embarrassed. "Just now, I felt that it was very honorable to stand next to Yuan Kiliang, but at this moment, I just wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into." Yuan Kiliang thought that staying would only make him more embarrassed, so he wanted to leave with Su Ye. Unexpectedly, just as he was about to leave, Xiaonan laughed coldly. "What? Mr. Yuan, you don't want to admit defeat. Yuan Kiliang paused, and even Su Ye's heart skipped a beat. Things really didn't end so easily. Chapter 12. Yuan Kiliang turned his head and looked at Xiaonan, smiling far-fetchedly. Sir, I was just joking with you just now. The bet is naturally not counted. As soon as these words came out, they immediately attracted a burst of contempt from everyone. Yuan Kiliang didn't care so much at this moment, as embarrassment was already inevitable. Since he had already lost face, he might as well be a bad guy to the end. If he really kowtowed in front of Xiaonan and drank 3 bottles of water of life, that would be a real embarrassment. Compared to the previous dishonesty of not admitting that the other party was telling the truth, this time he openly denied his bet, which was truly shameless. Hearing the boos around him, Su Ye's face almost blushed, but fortunately it was covered by the mask and could not be seen. At this moment, she just wanted to leave Yuan Kiliang alone. How could she never find that the man around her was so shameless? Before, I thought this man was polite, capable and graceful. Now thinking about it, I feel that shamelessness is not enough to describe it. Xiaonan seemed to have expected the other party to do this. Now that he heard Yuan Kiliang regret, he smiled calmly and said, I never thought of joking with you. We are gentlemen who keep our promises. Since we have said that whoever loses must kneel down and drink 3 bottles of water of life, we should fulfill the agreement. I am ready, kowtow. Xiaonan's aggressiveness was undoubtedly revealed at this moment, but his aggressiveness at this moment was still so logical. If it was the first time that Xiaonan used the identity of the eldest son of the Wang family to oppress Yuan Kiliang, although everyone felt that it was understandable, it was inevitable that some people would think that Xiaonan was petty. But this time is different. Last time Xiaonan said good things for Yuan Kiliang, but Yuan Kiliang turned the tables and said that Xiaonan found a friend to pretend to be the eldest son of the Wang family. Now that he has repaid his kindness with hatred, no matter how aggressive Xiaonan is now, everyone thinks that this is reasonable. Yuan Kiliang had made up his mind, suppressing his desire to escape, and looking out the window from time to time. Anyone who believes you is a fool. I was just joking with you. You are so immodest that you have to take it seriously. Who can you blame? I don't want to waste my words with you. Yuan Kiliang became more shameless. Zhu Ruoxue was about to speak, but saw that Xiaonan had arrived in front of Yuan Kiliang without knowing when. Yuan Kiliang faced Xiaonan's eyes, his heart was already flustered, and he even stuttered when he spoke. You, what do you want to do? I warn you, it's best not to think about acting rashly. Xiaonan's mouth curled up a smile, revealing a dangerous atmosphere. Yuan Kiliang took a half step back, and Xiaonan smiled and said, I don't want to do anything, I just want you to fulfill your promise. Do you want to keep your promise and kneel down, or do you want me to help you? What promise to keep? I've said it before, I'm just joking with you, don't even think about it. Before Yuan Kiliang finished speaking, Xiaonan grabbed his shoulders, and before he could react, he kicked him hard in the ankle. Yuan Kiliang was kicked so hard that he knelt on the ground with a thud, and his knees collided with the ground. He grimaced in pain and took a breath of cold air. But before he could shout, he felt a strong hand against the back of his head, and then a powerful force pressed him down. Bang! Yuan Kiliang's forehead also came into close contact with the ground, which made Yuan Kiliang finally scream, and his head was spinning like a paste. Many people couldn't help but exclaimed when they saw this. They never thought that Xiaonan would actually take action directly. They thought that even if Yuan Kiliang didn't keep his promise, Xiaonan couldn't do anything. Or he would use some other soft means, such as asking Zhu Ruoxue to help put pressure on him, but he never thought it would be so direct. Even Su Ye next to Yuan Kiliang was shocked. He covered his head with both hands, and was stunned for a while before he came to his senses. He half sat on the ground and pointed at Xiaonan and threatened, You dare to hit me? You dead liar, don't let me find out your identity, otherwise I will definitely make you look good. Xiaonan seemed not to hear Yuan Kiliang's threat. He first walked to the water of life, picked up a bottle of water of life in his hand, opened the lid, and walked towards Yuan Kiliang step by step. Yuan Kiliang still felt dizzy, but he had realized what Xiaonan wanted to do. He fell to the ground and struggled to retreat, still cursing, If you dare to force me to drink, well, gurgle. He couldn't say the next words, because Xiaonan quickly stepped in front of him and grabbed his neck. Feeling that his throat was strongly restrained, Yuan Kiliang had to open his mouth, which allowed Xiao Nan to take advantage of the situation and stuff the bottle of water of life into his throat, or rather, directly into his throat. Or tilde. Just this one move made many people who saw this scene, both men and women, cover their throats with horror. Gurgle, gurgle, a bottle of more than 300 milliliters of water of life poured down Yuan Kiliang's throat. Everyone could see Yuan Kiliang's throat squirming, and the water of life poured down continuously. After a while, the bottle of water of life was empty, and Xiao Nan threw the bottle aside. Yuan Kiliang fell to the ground and retched. Before he could react, Xiao Nan took the second bottle of water of life in his hand. This time, Yuan Kiliang had foresight and wanted to grit his teeth to prevent Xiao Nan from pouring the wine in, but when Xiao Nan pinched his neck, he still opened his mouth uncontrollably. By the time the second bottle of water of life was empty, Yuan Kiliang was already half asleep and half awake, his face flushed. Xiao Nan was not merciful, turned around and picked up the third bottle of water of life, and walked towards Yuan Kiliang again. Su Huaye stood in front of Yuan Kiliang and said, "Sir, you should forgive others when you can. You have done what you should do. You don't need to drink this last bottle, right?" Xiao Nan stopped, raised his head, and his eyes met Su Huaye's. The two most familiar strangers finally faced each other face to face for the first time. What surprised Su Huaye more and more was that the eyes of the man in front of her were indeed too similar to Xiao Nan's. An invisible atmosphere is stirring in the air. Chapter 13. Su Huaye actually stood up for Yuan Kiliang. In the eyes of others, this woman really loved Yuan Kiliang, but only Su Huaye herself knew that she didn't care about Yuan Kiliang's life or death at all. She is a strong-willed person by nature, and the reason why she had been involved with Yuan Kiliang before was only because Yuan Kiliang could give her what she wanted. Tonight's dance made her see clearly how despicable Yuan Kiliang was. The reason why she stood up to defend Yuan Kiliang was because she was concerned about Yuan Kiliang's family power. Yuan Kiliang came to this banquet with her. If anything happened to Yuan Kiliang here, the Yuan family would definitely make trouble for her. Ultimately, she's doing this for herself. Su Huaye stared at Xiao Nan, took a deep breath and said, "Sir, you have done it. You have made him lose face completely. I am afraid that these 2 bottles of water of life are already his limit. If he drinks the last bottle, his life may be in danger. I think you don't want to see such a situation, sir." Su Huaye was really worried. She glanced at Yuan Kiliang, who was lying on the ground. He had started to act crazy because of the alcohol. He sat and lay down, and then he started to tear off his clothes and tie, shouting that he wanted to drink more and cursing Xiao Nan. He had no image at all. Because he drank too much, he had already lost control of his bowels and bladder, an unbearable stench emanated from his crotch, and his nose and tears were flowing. If he continued drinking, wouldn't the last bottle of wine cost Yuan Kiliang his life? Xiao Nan dropped his hand holding the bottle. Su Huaye heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that Xiao Nan had listened to her words. Unexpectedly, Xiao Nan took a step forward and said in a cold voice, "Get out of the way." These 2 simple words made Su Huaye's heart tighten. From these 2 words, she felt the overwhelming murderous intent rolling in like an ocean wave, just like being naked in the snow and someone pouring a basin of cold water on her, a chilling feeling that went from the soles of her feet to the top of her head. She subconsciously moved aside and Xiao Nan walked slowly past her. Coming in front of Yuan Kiliang, Xiao Nan grabbed Yuan Kiliang's hair and poured the last bottle of water of life into his mouth. Afterwards, Xiao Nan straightened up and clapped his hands. Looking at Yuan Kiliang lying on the ground like a dead dog, Xiao Nan's hatred did not diminish at all. Compared to what Yuan Kiliang had done for him in his previous life, it was just a simple request for some interest. Of course he wouldn't kill Yuan Kiliang so quickly. He wanted to keep Yuan Kiliang alive and play with him slowly. Returning to Lin Shuyun's side, Lin Shuyun looked at the man in front of him with admiration. In the past, she knew that Xiao Nan was definitely a rare man and she had to catch him no matter what. Today, after seeing the various methods demonstrated by Xiao Nan, she became more determined in her thoughts. Xiao Nan remained calm when faced with slander, but was decisive and overbearing when faced with the other party's cheating. He embodies all the powerful qualities of a man. Lin Shuyun hurriedly took Xiao Nan's arm and said to Su Huaye provocatively, "Take this scoundrel and get out of this banquet quickly, otherwise you will be embarrassed by staying here." Su Huaye didn't want to stay any longer at all. This time she really lost all her face. After giving a wink to Yuan Kiliang's 2 friends, several people dragged Yuan Kiliang away quickly like a stray dog. Before turning around, Su Wei looked at Xiao Nan again. At this glance, he suddenly saw Lin Shuyan holding Xiao Nan's hand. Xiao Nan was wearing a bracelet on his wrist, a golden bracelet, which emitted a golden light under the warm and bright light. Yuan Kiliang fled in panic, and this incident was talked about by everyone present. Chapter 14. However, their departure did not affect the interest of the people present. On the contrary, these things made everyone's interest even higher. Xiao Nan and Lin Shuyan danced hand in hand among a group of people, like a prince and princess in a fairy tale. After the previous incident, everyone more or less developed some respect and fear for Xiao Nan. Whenever he and Lin Shuyan passed by, everyone would subconsciously make way for them. In this way, Xiao Nan and Lin Shuyan became the protagonists of this dance party. The two looked at each other and turned around under the light. Lin Shuyan was almost completely conquered by Xiao Nan's hot and deep eyes. Her body was soft and she even wanted to lie in Xiao Nan's arms. Xiao Nan looked at the woman in front of him with affection, the woman who died because of him in her previous life. When the song ended, Lin Shuyan couldn't control his emotions and kissed her. This time it happened in full view of everyone. When the dance was over and Lin Shuyan and Xiao Nan returned to the car, they just opened the door and saw a huge bouquet of flowers placed on their seats. Xiao Nan looked at Lin Shuyan, who picked up the flower and handed it to Xiao Nan, his eyes curved into crescents. I heard that if you like someone, you should give him more flowers. I thought about it, and it seems that in such a long time, I really haven't given you any flowers. This is my gift to you. Xiao Nan took the flower with a smile on his face. So this is the gift you prepared for me. The ones before were just appetizers. Do you like it? Lin Shuyan asked eagerly. Xiao Nan smiled and stretched out his hand to embrace Lin Shuyan in his arms. I like it. By the time Suya returned home, it was almost dawn. She didn't want to pay attention to Yuan Kiliang, but there was no way. Yuan Kiliang was sent to the hospital and needed someone to take care of him, so she took care of Yuan Kiliang in the hospital. This was just an opportunity to bring the two closer together. Even though Su Wei hated Yuan Kiliang very much, she still needed him. Her mind kept thinking about what happened at the dance today. She was really embarrassed at the ball today. Fortunately, most people at the venue were wearing masks, so even if something like this happened, not many people really knew about it. Moreover, people's memories are refreshed very quickly, and it is estimated that some people will forget about this matter before long. Anyway, she is not the protagonist of the incident. I just got home and the house was pitch black. Could it be that Xiao Nan was not at home again? Su Wei's heart skipped a beat. Thinking back to the man she met today who was so similar to him, she suddenly felt a little angry. He turned on the light with a click, looked up, and his eyelids suddenly jumped. On the cabinet not far ahead was a bracelet, a golden bracelet. It is exactly the same bracelet that she saw on the man's wrist when she left. Could it be that Xiao Nan is really that man? Hear a noise coming from the bedroom. Su Wei grabbed the bracelet and rushed into the room. Chapter 15. Su Wei hurriedly opened the door and saw that Xiao Nan had already fallen into a deep sleep in the room. There was a large bouquet of flowers placed beside the bed. The flowers were beautiful and Xiao Nan was sleeping soundly. Su Wei, who had a lot of questions to ask, suddenly stopped at this moment, because she suddenly thought of the man at the banquet. He looked so arrogant and had an extraordinary temperament, and he didn't even look at her. But Xiao Nan in front of him regarded himself as his life, as if he would lose half his life without me. How could a man like this be related to that person? She was probably overthinking it. Su Wei looked at the necklace in her hand again, and suddenly found that it was no longer a gold necklace, but a silver-white necklace. The reason why it looked like a gold necklace was because the necklace sparkled under the light, which dazzled her for a moment. After looking at it more closely, I found that the style of this necklace seemed to be different from the one the man was wearing. The necklace that man was wearing looked very expensive, while the one Xiao Nan was wearing looked more like something from a street stall. There was a huge difference between the two. And Xiao Nan seemed to be indifferent to her, but now he had made it clear to her. This man was obviously doing it on purpose, and in fact, he still liked her in his heart. It was foolish to secretly place such a large bouquet of flowers in the hope of changing her mind. The panic in Su Wei's heart subsided instantly. She thought she was just overthinking everything. She couldn't help but laugh at herself for being so stupid. During this period, because of Xiao Nan's little tactic of playing hard to get, she was actually in a trance for a short time, thinking that Xiao Nan already had other ideas. Su Wei couldn't help laughing. Looking at the flowers at Xiao Nan's feet, she shook her head and smiled and walked out of the room. The next morning while having breakfast, Su Wei watched Xiao Nan eating calmly, with no intention of greeting her, so she mentioned the flowers from last night. She said to Xiao Nan coldly, "Don't do such fancy tricks in the future. I have thrown the flowers you gave me last night into the trash can." Xiao Nan couldn't help but be shocked when he heard this. The flower was lost. That was a gift from Lin Shuyun to me. The gift that the little girl gave me with good intentions was thrown away like trash. After thinking about it, I decided to just let it go. It doesn't matter if it's lost. Lin Shuyun probably wouldn't care either. What she really cared about was the joy she felt when the gift was just given to her. Su Wei saw these small changes and reactions and naturally thought that she was the one who lost the flowers, which made Xiao Nan feel touched. "Let us see how long you can pretend," Su Wei sneered. She achieved her goal and her mood became happy. Before leaving, she looked at Xiao Nan again. "You remember that I'm going to have dinner with my parents and other relatives tonight. I might be a little busy today, so you can go over first. But I hope you don't say too much, so as not to embarrass me in front of my parents." After saying all this, Su Wei turned and left without waiting for Xiao Nan to reply. After finishing breakfast, Xiao Nan made a phone call. About 2 or 3 hours later, a girl in an OL uniform knocked on the door. The woman was wearing a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, had a noble temperament and a charming face, and was a top beauty. When she gave the gift box in her hand to Xiao Nan, she threw a coquettish glance at Xiao Nan intentionally or unintentionally. Chapter 16. Seeing Xiao Nan was stunned after ignoring her words. Obviously he had never thought that someone could actually resist his charm. She couldn't help but become more curious about this man. Xiao Nan opened the gift box, and inside was a purple dress. Purple was Lin Shuyun's favorite color. The skirt was exquisitely made, and it was obvious that Xiao Nan had carefully selected it. Lin Shuyun's birthday is coming soon. Xiao Nan promised this girl that he would carefully select a gift for her that she likes. Now this is what Xiao Nan specially prepared for Lin Shuyun. However, Lin Shuyun should not have much time today. Lin Shuyun said that her father will take her to a banquet today. This banquet is directly connected with the provincial capital. It will be a negotiation with a big family who wants to expand the Lin family's business to other provinces. In that case, I'll keep this gift for now, and give it to Lin Shuyun the next time I see her. When he thought of the girl's joy when she received the skirt, Xiao Nan's mouth curled up. He sat cross-legged, closed his eyes, and looked around, only to find that there was an extremely strange thing in his dantian, like a seed, emitting a vast green light all over the body, almost covering the entire dantian. Since his rebirth, it has existed with him. He is a descendant of a family in the capital. Since childhood, he has not only studied literature, but also martial arts, and he has a good martial arts skill. The reason why he was tortured like that by Yuan Kiliang in his previous life was simply because he trusted Su Wei too much, which eventually led to his meridians being destroyed and he became a useless person, at the mercy of others. But when I looked inside my body in my previous life, there was nothing unusual in my dantian. Could it be that it was because of this seed in my dantian that I was able to come back to life? Xiao Nan tried to find out what this seed was, but found that when his power was poured into this seed, it was like drizzle into the sea, unable to create any waves. The seeds are still suspended, as if sleeping. If you can't figure it out, just stop thinking about it. After Xiao Nan circulated his power for 2 big cycles, he finally opened his eyes. There is no 60 years in the mountains, but 1,000 years have passed in the world. Before I knew it, it was already evening. Thinking about the dinner party that Su Wei had mentioned to him before she left today, after thinking about it, he decided to go and attend. Anyway, I have nothing to do at home alone, so it might not hurt to go over and take a look. He really needed to make peace with Su Wei and her family. Su Wei had already sent the address of the dinner party at noon today. Xiao Nan hailed a taxi and rushed to his destination with the gift box. When Xiao Nan rushed to their hotel and pushed the door open, there were a few people inside chatting and laughing. When they saw Xiao Nan pushing the door open, they all looked up at him at the same time. In particular, the middle-aged couple sitting in the main seat immediately put away their smiles, and even their eyes became full of contempt and ridicule. Chapter 17. This middle-aged couple is Su Wei's parents. The man is Su Jungwo and the woman is Li Ailing. Xiaonan didn't have any good feelings towards them. This couple were real villains. When Xiaonan was still useful to them, the couple was so enthusiastic. When Su Ye brought Xiaonan home, she told her parents that Xiaonan's family had some assets. Li Ailing and Su Jungwo were so happy that they couldn't stop smiling and tried their best to match the two of them up. But when Su Ye told her parents about Xiaonan's family situation, their attitudes slowly changed. Xiaonan couldn't help but admire the attitude of these people who changed their attitudes as quickly as turning over a book. After seeing Xiaonan, Li Ailing stopped smiling. Oh, here comes the freeloader. I really don't know how some men can stay at home and eat their wives. I've only heard of men who eat their parents' blood, but it's rare to see men who eat their wives' blood. Li Ailing's words made the middle-aged couple next to her look a little strange. They are Suya's second uncle and second aunt. Today's party was actually specially organized because Suya's second uncle wanted to ask Suya to do something. They have never interfered in the affairs of Xiaonan and Su Ye's family. They seem to understand that outsiders like them should not get involved in other people's family affairs. But sometimes, in order to please Su Jungwo and his wife, he would speak coldly to Xiaonan. Xiaonan doesn't care much about these. Even though Su Jungwo and his wife behaved like that towards him, Xiaonan had been relatively respectful to them before. I feel that no matter what, this is Suya's family. Since I am with Suya, I must maintain proper etiquette no matter what. But what no one would have expected was that this couple had no awareness of this at all. Instead, they took Xiaonan's politeness and tolerance for granted, and even spoke harshly to Xiaonan several times. Now it's the same again. Faced with the other party's cold words, Xiaonan did not respond, but walked to his seat and sat down. Seeing that he ignored her, Li Ailing felt a little embarrassed and said to him angrily, "Oh, you are so bold. You are becoming more and more rude. You don't even call your elders. Is this how you respect the elderly and love the young?" Li Ailing's voice was extremely sharp, like an iron spoon being scratched across a blackboard. The harsh sound made Xiaonan frown. He picked up a cup of tea, took a sip, and then said calmly, "Respecting the old and loving the young depends on whether the old person is worthy of respect. Not all old people are worthy of respect." Li Ailing obviously didn't expect that Xiaonan would refute her today. When he heard this, he was obviously stunned and even suspected that he was hallucinating. Chapter 18. It was not until she saw that everyone was staring at her that she realized that the words she had just heard were indeed spoken by Xiaonan. She was instantly furious. "Xiaonan, you are so bold that you dare to talk to me like this. Do you believe that I will let Xiaoyar divorce you immediately? You are a piece of trash. You have been eating and using my daughter for such a long time. Now you dare to talk to me like this." Xiaonan was indifferent, and Li Ailing kept scolding him. "Xiaonan, I'm talking to you, are you deaf? You are such an uneducated thing, I really don't know how your parents taught you. No wonder your family went bankrupt, leaving you a useless person. If your family didn't go bankrupt, then there really is something fishy going on. As the saying goes, don't curse someone's mother and don't hit someone in the face." Li Ailing scolded Xiaonan's entire family, but the fact that Xiaonan's family went bankrupt was indeed because he deceived Su Ye. But in her previous life, when she was killed by Yuan Klian, her grandfather did have health problems. Xiaonan was raised by his grandfather since he was a child. In his heart, although he left the Xiao family for Su Ye, he still could not forget his grandfather. Now, Li Ailing's words can be said to have touched Xiaonan's sore spot. Xiaonan subconsciously clenched the teacup in his hand, glanced at Li Ailing, his eyes already filled with murderous intent, and asked in a cold tone, "What did you say?" The reason why Li Ailing dared to scold like that was simply because she was used to it. After all, she had been living like this for such a long time, and Xiaonan had always let her scold her. No matter what she said or did, Xiaonan always greeted her with a smile. He actually dared to resist today. Not only that, he even dared to glare at her. This look was scary. Li Ailing was terrified and subconsciously took a few steps back. She then covered her heart and gasped for breath. She said to Su Jungwo, who was standing beside her, "This loser is actually glaring at me. Su Jungwo, are you a dead man? He treated me like this, why don't you teach him a lesson?" Su Jungwo came back to his senses, stood up, raised his hand and was about to slap Xiaonan. Xiaonan just raised his head and glanced at him. When facing Xiaonan's sharp eyes, Su Jungwo's heart seemed to be hit by a sledgehammer. He involuntarily became stiff and dared not move anymore. The palm that was raised high could not fall down no matter what, and the atmosphere became tense for a moment. It was Su-Ye's second uncle who saw that something was wrong and quickly stepped forward to smooth things over. Okay, brother and sister-in-law, don't quarrel over such a small matter. Xiaonan may not be in a good mood today. Let's not talk about this and wait for Xiao-Ye to come. Su Jingwo finally sat down after finding a step down, and glared at Xiaonan fiercely. If someone hadn't pleaded for you, I would have beaten you to death today. If you are so disrespectful next time, I will never forgive you. Li Ailing pointed at Xiaonan viciously. Just wait. When Xiaoye comes, I will make Xiaoye divorce you. Your good days are over. No one will be so stupid as to let you eat for free at home. As soon as he finished speaking, the door of the private room was pushed open again, and Su-Ye walked in from outside. As soon as she saw Su-Ye, Li Ailing seemed to have found her backbone. She immediately pointed at Xiaonan and angrily said, "Daughter, you must divorce that boy named Xiao today." Su-Ye frowned and looked at Xiaonan. Chapter 19. Su-Ye walked quietly to her seat and sat down. She looked at Xiaonan. Xiaonan neither stood up to greet her nor showed any joy, which made her a little unhappy. Li Ailing then opened her mouth to accuse him at the right time. This Xiao guy is so bold that he dared to scold me. Xiaoya, no matter what happens today, you have to make this guy apologize to us in front of us. Otherwise, we will get a divorce. Hearing this, Su-Ye was a little bit unconvinced, because she knew that no matter what Xiaonan was like, he knew his limits, and he knew very well what to do and what not to do. She naturally knew exactly what her parents' attitude towards Xiaonan was on weekdays, but today Xiaonan even dared to scold her parents. Please explain it to me. Su-Ye said coldly. Xiaonan did not respond. Su-Ye couldn't help but grit her teeth. She took the initiative to talk to him, but he deliberately didn't reply. Xiaonan, I'm talking to you. Su-Ye was very angry, and almost every word she spoke was squeezed out from between her teeth. If she hadn't seen her parents staring at her, as well as her uncle and aunt, she would have already started cursing. Xiaonan then replied calmly, "There is nothing to explain. Those who respect others will always be respected by others. As for those who insult others, they should also be prepared to be insulted. Isn't that right?" Xiaonan also deliberately glanced at Su-Ye, with an indescribable calmness in his eyes. That calm look and attitude made Su-Ye at a loss for words for a moment. Seeing that the atmosphere was a little off, Su-Ye's second uncle hurriedly said, Okay, let's not be so tense as a family. I'll call the waiter to serve the food now. Let's eat and talk. Suya's second uncle started asking people to serve the dishes. He came to Suya to do something. If Suya's family was harmonious, this matter would naturally be easier to handle. If there was a quarrel, he would be too embarrassed to ask for anything from others. Su-Ye was a little depressed. She really didn't understand how Xiaonan dared to be so rude to her in front of relatives and friends. You know, Xiaonan had given me enough face before, so why is he treating me like this now? Even if he wanted to play hard to get with me, he should have paid attention to the timing. In this situation, it is obvious that you should not be angry with yourself. Just at this moment, Li Ailing discovered the gift box next to Xiaonan's hand. Without getting Xiaonan's permission, she took it away, opened it, and saw the exquisite silk dress inside. She glanced at Xiaonan and started to curse again. You useless bastard, you don't feel bad at all for spending Xiaoya's money. Look at how much this dress costs. This money is all earned by my daughter through hard work outside. When Su-Ye saw the exquisite workmanship of the skirt, she also glanced at Xiaonan. She felt a little happy in her heart and became more certain that Xiaonan was playing hard to get tricks with her. Although she seemed cold and sarcastic to herself on the surface, she actually prepared flowers last night and such an exquisite dress today. All of this was just some trick of Xiaonan. Su-Ye had no expression and said calmly, I don't like this color, let's return it. Xiaonan took the gift box back and placed it next to him. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. This dress was not originally given to you. Chapter 20. Isn't it for her? Su-Ye was stunned for a moment, and even her second uncle and second aunt beside her looked extremely strange. Su-Ye caught their expressions and became even more furious. She sneered, Isn't it for me? Xiaonan, do you think it's fun to do this? I know you are upset with me because I didn't spend our anniversary with you, so you are deliberately angry with me, but I think you should stop at the right time and don't go too far. Su Wei originally thought that she was already very magnanimous and didn't want to expose Xiao Nan's thoughts, so she didn't say it openly. What she didn't expect was that Xiao Nan dared to speak like this in front of relatives and friends. So there was no need for her to save face for Xiao Nan. Xiao Nan was stunned for a moment. He had never thought that Su Wei still thought that he was just angry with her because they did not have dinner together on their wedding anniversary. Xiao Nan wanted to refute, but then he changed his mind and felt that there was no need to refute at all. It seems that it doesn't really matter whether to refute or not. If Su Wei wants to be so self-righteous, let her think so. Su Wei was still a little uncertain at first, but when she found that Xiao Nan did not refute what she said, she became more convinced of her thoughts and felt even more proud. Li Ailing continued to belittle him. You are loser. You eat my daughter's money, use my daughter's money, isn't the money used to buy things for my daughter? You still want to pretend, what are you doing now? You've been found out, right? If you want to be a gigolo, you must be prepared to lose face. You want to be a gigolo and still want to be a man? Dream on. While Xiao Nan and Su Wei were having dinner, in a hotel in another corner of the city, Lin Shuyun and his father were also attending a party. Sitting next to Lin Shuyun was her father, Lin Guodong, and sitting opposite her was a young man in a floral shirt and a suit. The young man unbuttoned 2 buttons of his shirt, exposing his chest, with an evil smile on his face. From his exposed chest, one can see that he has tattoos on his body. His eyes would occasionally fall on Lin Shuyun, glancing sideways at him. This look made Lin Shuyun extremely uncomfortable. Lin Guodong noticed the aggression in the other person's eyes and also felt the discomfort revealed by his daughter. He leaned half his body forward, as if to use his body to block the invading gaze for his daughter. Li Yadong frowned and looked at Lin Guodong. Lin Guodong smiled and said, Master Li, the purpose of asking you to come here this time is actually very clear. Our Lin family's logistics business wants to expand to the provinces and cities, and we still need your help in these matters. Help, huh? That's easy to say. Li Yadong leaned back. It's easy to help, but the prerequisite is that I fell in love with Miss Lin at first sight. Why don't I let Miss Lin stay with me tonight? I think if Miss Lin and I become boyfriend and girlfriend, we will be a family, right? Of course, our Black Tiger gang will let our family do the business. After saying this, Lin Guodong's face looked a little ugly. He forced a smile. Master Li, please stop joking. Unexpectedly, Li Yadong slammed the table and glared at him. Do I look like I'm kidding you? Chapter 21. Lin Guodong was stunned for a moment, and Lin Shuyun was also frightened. Even though Lin Guodong was considered to be knowledgeable, he still couldn't react in such a sudden moment. Li Yadong exposed his true face, so rampant, and sneered, Old man surnamed Lin, I am not afraid to tell you the truth. I have done a special investigation before coming here. I really like your daughter very much. Do you think my Black Tiger gang has such a big influence in the provincial capital? Why would I come to discuss business with you? Do you really think that I am attracted by your business acumen and management power? Don't be silly, if it weren't for this little girl, I wouldn't be so kind. What are you talking about? Seeing Li Yadong being so disrespectful to herself and her father, Lin Shuyun also shouted, Mr. Li, stop calling us Black Tiger gang. Do you think this is the last century? There are laws now. No matter how powerful the Black Tiger gang is, you have to pay attention. Lin Guodong also looked at Li Yadong with an unpleasant expression. I, Lin, have been doing business for so many years. Since ancient times, it has been said that harmony brings wealth. Your Black Tiger gang is powerful, and since you don't want to discuss cooperation with our Lin family, forget it. I'm sorry I won't accompany you. Lin Guodong took his daughter's hand and wanted to leave, but just as he opened the door of the private room, he found that he was blocked by a dozen burly men in black clothes outside. Li Yadong slowly stood up from his seat, took a few steps away, and sneered, Mr. Lin, you probably don't know much about our Black Tiger gang, right? Aren't you a small prefecture-level city, the back garden of our Black Tiger gang? I'm not afraid to tell you the truth, no woman I, Li Yadong, have ever been able to escape from my palm. Lin Guodong was really panicked, his expression changed visibly, and he looked at his daughter. What he feared most was that Lin Shuyun would encounter an accident. Lin Shuyun also tightly grasped his father's hand, and hurriedly took out his mobile phone to send a message to Xiao Nan. No matter what, the Black Tiger gang should at least pay attention to the law. I believe you don't want to get into trouble. Our Lin family has official influence in Jiangcheng. Lin Shuyun looked at Li Yadong, who was closing in on him, so he had to warn him again. Li Yadong sneered, "Didn't I tell you that a prefecture-level city like yours is the back garden of my Black Tiger gang? Forget about you. Even if your city chief Zhu Yunhai had 100 guts, would he dare to touch me?" Li Yadong became more and more arrogant and unscrupulous as he spoke. "Even if I ask you to call Zhu Yunhai now, do you think he dares to come and take care of the affairs of my Black Tiger gang? If he dares to frown, I will make him unable to sit in this position." Lin Guodong's face turned grim. He knew that it was impossible for him to take Lin Shuyun away. He rushed to Li Yadong and grabbed Li Yadong's neck. At the same time, he picked up the wine bottle on the table and smashed it. The bottle fragments, like daggers, pressed against Li Yadong's throat. He roared, "Let my daughter go!" Li Yadong obviously didn't expect Lin Guodong to do this to him, but he was not panicked and even laughed. "Oh, I didn't expect you to have the courage to attack me at this time." The dozen or so burly men in black outside the door rushed in and looked at Lin Guodong viciously. "Dad!" Lin Shuyun shouted. Her father, who had always been steady and elegant, was in such a miserable state today while trying to protect herself. She couldn't help but have tears in her eyes. "Daughter, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have brought you to this party today. You should leave quickly. Even if the Black Tiger gang has reservations, you should go to the police station." "I don't believe they dare to go to the police station and kidnap people," Lin Guodong said. "Leave? Can you leave?" "Old man, I advise you to let me go now, then kneel down and watch how I play with your daughter. Maybe I will show mercy and spare your life. Otherwise, you will be feeding the fish in the sea by this time tomorrow." Chapter 22. Li Yadong's arrogance and evil are simply unbridled. Lin Guodong was really crazy, and shouted at the dozen strong men, "Get out of my way and let my daughter go, or I will kill him, and you will not have a good ending when you go back." Lin Guodong has been in the business world for so many years, and of course he understands that the most important thing for these bodyguards is to protect Li Yadong's personal safety. If something really happens to Li Yadong, they will have a hard time explaining when they return. Since the Black Tiger gang dares to act so unscrupulously, it shows that their gang rules are extremely strict. He was betting that these bodyguards would be afraid of the consequences and let his daughter leave, but unfortunately he was wrong in the end. There was a sudden stagnation in the air, and a black shadow appeared right under Lin Guodong's eyes at lightning speed. Lin Guodong's pupils contracted, and he subconsciously wanted to stab Li Yadong with the wine bottle in his hand. But before he could move, he felt a sharp pain in his wrist. Everyone heard the sound of bones breaking, and when they looked again, they found that Lin Guodong had been grabbed by the neck and lifted up by a thin and slender man in black. The man in black had an extremely pale face. His face was long but not fleshy, and he had inverted triangle eyes. His bangs covered one eye, and the other exposed eye emitted a faint light that was extremely creepy, especially the way his eyes looked at people, which were crescent-shaped, like a poisonous snake. Lin Shuyun yelled again, "Dad!" She felt helpless about her father's current situation and could only look in horror at Lin Guodong, who was being carried like a chicken by a middle-aged man, with a sad look on his face. "Old man, I have to say you are really brave. You actually dare to attack me." Li Yadong clapped his hands. Lin Guodong was struggling up and down like a drowning man. His face turned from red to white, and from white to purple, visibly. Soon, he looked like an eggplant hit by frost, with his blood vessels clearly visible. The intense feeling of suffocation caused him to lose control of his physiology and suffer from incontinence. A strange smell came from Lin Guodong's crotch. Li Yadong smelled the peculiar smell, covered his nose with disgust, and said sarcastically, "You are so old, and you still urinate and defecate anywhere. Put him down." Lin Guodong fell to the ground with a thud, gasping for breath. When Lin Shuyun saw his father like this, he felt anxious and angry, with anxiety and hatred in his eyes. Li Yadong laughed, "This is the look in my eyes that I like the most. Woman, don't worry, I will make you feel like you are in heaven." Chapter 23. Xiao Nan had just taken the gift box when he heard a ding-dong sound from his mobile phone. When he opened WeChat, he saw a message from Lin Shuyun. It was very short, just 2 words, "Save me," and there was an address attached below. Xiao Nan frowned immediately. Based on his understanding of Lin Shuyun, it was impossible for him to play such a weird joke on him. This meant that Lin Shuyun was very likely to have met with an accident. With this thought in mind, Xiaonan stood up with the gift box and was about to walk towards the door. Su Wei shouted, "Where are you going?" Xiaonan didn't reply, but pushed open the door of the box and left in a hurry. Li Ailing said coldly to Su Wei's daughter, "Daughter, did you see this? This is a typical ungrateful person. You gave him food and drink, but now he is so rude. We have all been deceived by him. Do you finally believe it now?" Su Wei frowned. She was thinking about a crucial issue. That is, she noticed that the reason Xiaonan turned and left just now was because his cell phone rang. He checked his phone and saw that someone must have sent him a message. And from the way Xiaonan left in such a hurry, it can be seen that that person is quite important to him. Is that person a man or a woman? Why did he leave without even saying hello to me? After leaving the box, Xiaonan immediately took a taxi and rushed to Lin Shuyan's destination. At the same time, he was also thinking about a problem. He remembered that Lin Shuyan didn't seem to have encountered such an accident in his previous life, but this time such a thing happened instead. Xiaonan changed his mind and felt that it was all his own problem. In his previous life, he didn't care at all about what Lin Shuyan had experienced, so naturally he didn't understand. Now that I think about it carefully, Lin Shuyan had experienced such a desperate moment in his previous life, and I don't know how he got through it. But if he were to live his life again, he would never let Lin Shuyan experience that despair and sadness again. "Master, please drive faster," Xiaonan urged. The driver said calmly, "Young man, no matter how fast we are, we still have to obey the traffic rules." Before he finished speaking, Xiaonan took the payment code placed by the driver and entered 5,000 yuan. 5,000 yuan has been deposited into my Alipay account. The driver's eyes lit up. "Young man, you better sit still, I'm a retired racing driver." As soon as he finished speaking, he stepped on the accelerator to the bottom, and the car sped along the city roads like an arrow. Lin Shuyan watched Li Yadong approaching step by step, trying his best to control the panic in his heart, and stepped back. "You, don't come over." Li Yadong laughed and said, "Don't come over? I won't listen. I'm coming over. What can you do to me?" Lin Shuyan had nowhere to retreat and retreated to the wall. She glanced at her father who was lying on the ground. Lin Guodong was struggling to get up. But at this time, the man in black walked up to him and stepped on Lin Guodong's back. Lin Guodong felt as if a mountain was pressing down on him, as if a 1,000-pound weight was pressing down on him. He was pressed to the ground and no matter how he struggled, it was of no avail. Seeing that Lin Shuyan had nowhere to escape, Li Yadong laughed obscenely and pounced on Lin Shuyan, wanting to hug her. Unexpectedly, Lin Shuyan dodged under his armpit, leaving Li Yadong empty-handed and his head hitting the wall heavily. Chapter 24. Li Yadong covered his forehead and watched Lin Shuyan turn around and try to run away, so he pulled Lin Shuyan towards him. With a slurp sound, Lin Shuyan's coat was torn, and her snow-white skin and a large area of flawless back skin appeared in front of Li Yadong. When the greed in Li Yadong's eyes became even more intense, he swallowed his saliva with red eyes. The light in those eyes caught Lin Shuyan off guard and he felt fear in his heart. "As expected of a rich lady, you are well taken care of. Don't worry, you will know my methods later." Li Yadong pressed forward with a grim smile, and Lin Shuyan began to flee. Her movements were very agile. Li Yadong circled the hotel several times but failed to catch Lin Shuyan. The burly men in black who were watching the show outside the door all had strange expressions on their faces. They couldn't help laughing, and their faces turned red, but they didn't dare to laugh at all. Li Yadong chased for a while, but he couldn't catch up with her, which made him embarrassed in front of his younger brother. He was furious and said to his brothers, "Catch this woman for me. Damn it, I don't believe it. This girl is as slippery as a loach. I can't catch her." After receiving the order, several strong men quickly captured Lin Shuyan from the left and right. Lin Shuyan could no longer escape. Her left and right hands were tightly grasped by two strong men and she could not move. Li Yadong reached out and touched Lin Shuyan's delicate face, praising her, "It's so smooth." As soon as he finished speaking, he violently ripped off Lin Shuyan's dress, and immediately, her snow-white and graceful body was exposed in front of everyone. The towering snow-white breasts were supported by the underwear, looking so spectacular. The slender waist that could be grasped combined with the panic on her face, the look of being unable to move no matter how hard she struggled, was enough to make one's heart melt. "Let me go." Lin Shuyan's wrists turned red from struggling, but no matter how she moved, she could not break free from the restraints of the two strong men. Feeling his current posture, Lin Shuyan felt an indescribable shame and resentment in his heart. She never imagined that Li Yadong would be so bold and disregard the law. She used to think that no matter what, these people would have some reservations in their hearts, right? But now that everything has happened, she realized that she was overthinking. I can't wait any longer. Li Yadong smiled obscenely. Not only him, but also the other men in black had their eyes wide open. They had never seen such a graceful figure and such a charming face. No matter which point they have, it is extremely coveted. Someone asked, "Master, after you're done playing with this woman, can you please leave her to us?" Li Yadong turned his head and looked at the man, who lowered his head in fear. Unexpectedly, Li Yadong laughed out loud the next second. "Sure, when I'm done playing with her and get tired of her, I'll give her to the brothers to play with." Many men burst into laughter. The laughter was full of obscenity. Li Yadong swallowed his saliva and couldn't wait to reach out and touch Lin Shuyan's breasts. Chapter 25. Just at this moment, a figure broke through the crowd like a cannonball, hitting quite a few men in black. The figure flew in and fell heavily to the ground. Li Yadong's hand froze in mid-air. The sudden fright made him immediately look towards the figure flying in. The person who was thrown in was one of those sturdy men in black, but now he was in an extremely miserable state, with some blood hanging from his mouth and nose, and his whole body was limp, as if most of his bones were broken. Who is it? Li Yadong subconsciously looked towards the door, and Lin Shuyan and Lin Guodong also turned their heads to look. A man slowly walked into the door of the box, his eyes lowered, and he walked forward step by step. However, he had a murderous aura on his body, pouring down like a tidal wave, making everyone present feel a sense of pressure at the same time. Xiaonan. When he saw the person coming, Lin Shuyan cried with joy and shouted loudly. The person who came was Xiaonan. After a period of rushing, he finally arrived here at the most critical moment. When Xiaonan looked up and saw Lin Shuyan's naked appearance, his pupils contracted and a terrible murderous aura emanated from his body, forming a terrible huge wave around him. The man in black next to Li Yadong narrowed his eyes slightly when he saw this and felt a terrifying breath. Seeing that the two burly men were still holding Lin Shuyan hostage, Xiaonan moved as fast as lightning. The two sturdy men only felt a gust of wind blowing in front of them. Before they could react, they felt a huge force hitting their chests. The terrifying force shattered their internal organs almost instantly and broke every bone in their bodies. The two men flew out like kites with broken strings, fell heavily to the ground, and with a "pew" sound, they spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted in the blink of an eye. When Lin Shuyan came to his senses again, he felt a warm and familiar embrace. When he looked up and met Xiaonan's eyes, he immediately felt relieved, and all his uneasiness disappeared without a trace at this moment. When encountering danger just now, the first thing Lin Shuyan thought of was to find Xiaonan. But the next second, he suddenly became worried, wondering whether Xiaonan could solve this problem. She was afraid that she would bring the same troubles to Xiaonan, but when Xiaonan really appeared in front of her, she suddenly felt that those troubles were nothing. Everything calmed down. At least Xiaonan came, which was enough to prove how important his position was in Xiaonan's heart. "Who the hell are you, kid? How dare you meddle in my business?" Li Yadong was a little surprised at Xiaonan's sudden appearance and the knockdown of his men, but he didn't take it to heart. After all, he had caused quite a few troubles over the years and had encountered some so-called masters, but they were no better than him and were definitely no match for his Black Tiger gang. The man in black came close to Li Yadong's ear and whispered to him, "Master, the person in front of you may have some strength. I can't see through his cultivation. Be careful." Li Yadong waved his hand indifferently. "It doesn't matter. No matter how strong he is, how strong can he be? Do you dare to go against my Black Tiger gang? He is just a fool who doesn't know how to live or die." "Shuyan, I'm sorry, I'm late." Xiaonan looked at Lin Shuyan, his eyes gradually becoming gentle. He took off his coat and put it on Lin Shuyan to block the exposed spring light. Li Yadong was immediately upset when he saw this scene, and he cursed, "Who the hell told you to put clothes on him? I haven't seen enough. Do you want to die? Hurry up and take off your clothes." Xiaonan remained silent, and his eyes gradually became fierce as he looked at Li Yadong. Chapter 26. This look made Li Yadong very uncomfortable, as if he was being stared at by a butcher. He seemed unaware of the current situation. "Apologize to Shuyan." I don't want to say it a second time. You only have one chance. Xiao Nan said coldly. His tone was as cold as ice, freezing the air. Apologize. Li Yadong was stunned for a moment, perhaps he couldn't believe what he heard. He looked at Xiao Nan as if he was looking at a fool. What? What did you say? Say it again, you want me to apologize. Li Yadong looked at the man in black beside him exaggeratedly and asked, Did I hear you right? This guy actually asked me to apologize to him. Is he not very smart? It has always been others who apologize to me. I really don't know how to write the word apology. Young master is right. The man in black stared at Xiao Nan with a forced smile, looking him up and down. He felt vaguely uneasy in his heart because he couldn't get a glimpse of Xiao Nan's specific realm. He only felt that the aura of the man in front of him carried an invisible oppression, which made him instinctively want to leave under such a powerful aura. But looking at Li Yadong's condition, it must be impossible for him to leave. What's more, he has some confidence in himself. After all, he has traveled all over the country for many years and has met many martial arts masters. Even if there is no way to deal with Xiao Nan, it should not be a problem to protect Li Yadong and ensure his safe departure. In that case, then don't disturb the young master's interest and let him have some fun. Li Yadong stopped smiling and looked at Xiao Nan. Boy, let me ask you one more question, are you serious about asking me to apologize? Li Yadong narrowed his eyes. Although he was smiling, that smile was as vicious as a poisonous snake, as if he would launch a fatal attack at any time. Everyone who is familiar with Li Yadong knows that he has already decided to kill Xiao Nan. Xiao Nan seemed not to notice and continued calmly, I have already given you a chance. Li Yadong's expression gradually became distorted and ferocious, give me a chance. You really gave me face. Break his hands and feet for me, I want to play with him slowly. I want to see how he can make me apologize later. At Li Yadong's command, a dozen men in black pulled out sharp daggers from their waists, and the daggers were shining with cold light. Xiao Nan, be careful. Lin Shuyun reminded worriedly. Even though she believed in Xiao Nan, she couldn't help but worry about him. Xiao Nan smiled and touched Lin Shuyun's head, don't worry, Shuyun, you have done so many things for me, now it's my turn to do something for you. Lin Shuyun was full of doubts. Did she do a lot for Xiao Nan? She didn't do anything. She just pursued Xiao Nan. But seeing the deep love in Xiao Nan's eyes for her, it was as if she had saved his life. Of course, she wouldn't know about Xiao Nan's past and present life. After calming Lin Shuyun down, Xiao Nan turned his attention to the dozen or so men in black. Chapter 27. Go to hell. The burly man in the lead roared, and the dagger in his hand, shining like a sword, quickly stabbed towards Xiao Nan's chest and abdomen. This move was extremely cruel and merciless, and it was obvious that he wanted to kill the person. These people disregarded the law and were typical desperados, so there was no need for Xiao Nan to show mercy to them. Facing this fierce attack, Xiao Nan remained calm. Just as the dagger was about to pierce his chest and abdomen, Xiao Nan finally took action. He pushed his palm forward, as if carrying a huge airflow, whistling towards the burly man in black. The sturdy man felt Xiao Nan's palm coming, but was surprised to find that the power of this palm was far more terrifying than he had imagined. He could only watch helplessly as the slap hit his face. As the slap landed, a huge force poured in, instantly dislocating his jaw. At the same time, the horrible force also invaded his brain stem. But in just one encounter, the strong man was beaten into a fool. His body was like a sandbag, knocking down 3 or 4 people behind him with great force. Even the strong man who was knocked down by him had broken bones, and the crackling sound of bones breaking sounded like firecrackers during the new year. In the blink of an eye, 5 or 6 people fell. The momentum is unstoppable, crushing everything with ease, and it is embodied at this moment. Without waiting for the rest of the people to react, Xiao Nan rushed forward like a cannonball. Anyone who touched him would scream and fly backwards. Suddenly, more than a dozen sturdy men in black fell to the ground, unable to move like dead dogs. Only Li Yadong and the man in black were still standing there. Seeing Xiao Nan easily knock down so many people, the black-clothed man's eyes became more solemn. Although he was still not too amazed at Xiao Nan's strength, thinking that Xiao Nan just used different methods, but from this point he guessed that Xiao Nan was most likely doing it on purpose, deliberately showing such powerful methods in order to intimidate him so that he would not dare to attack him. With these little thoughts, the man in black thought that Xiao Nan was still afraid. Li Yadong was slightly surprised to see that many of his younger brothers were easily defeated by Xiao Nan. Boy, no wonder you dare to talk to me so arrogantly, it turns out you have some skills. Not bad. Li Yadong clapped his hands. I am a money-loving person, but since you have such a talent, I suddenly changed my mind. I can spare your life, but the prerequisite is that you have to obediently hand over the woman behind you to me and apologize to me. I will let bygones be bygones, what do you think? Xiao Nan said nothing and pressed forward towards him. Li Yadong couldn't stand Xiao Nan's look, so he ordered the man in black beside him, Go, Viper, cripple his hands and feet. I'm going to let him see with his own eyes how I play with this woman. The venomous snake took a step forward slowly and stood in front of Xiao Nan. Xiao Nan did not stop, which made Viper frown, with anger in his eyes. He didn't even look at me and didn't stop, which meant that Xiao Nan didn't take me seriously at all. Chapter 28. It's really too arrogant. Prepare to die. The man in black roared, and a snake-like dagger appeared in his hand. It was extremely curved and exuded a strange aura. It was obviously poisoned. The man in black appeared in front of Xiao Nan almost in the blink of an eye, with the dagger in his hand pointing directly at Xiao Nan's throat. If Xiao Nan had reacted a little slower, his throat would have been cut long ago. Lin Shuyun was terrified as she watched from the side. She felt that in the blink of an eye, the attack was already within reach. Can Xiao Nan deal with the opponent? Seeing the attack coming, Xiao Nan raised his hand to block it. The man in black raised a disdainful smile at the corner of his mouth. He really thought Xiao Nan was so great. After a brief fight, he found that Xiao Nan's strength was just so-so. His real killer move is yet to come. The man in black shook his wrist and swung his knife towards Xiao Nan's stomach. This kind of low-level attack method is the most disdainful to martial artists, but it is also the most insidious and hard to guard against. Just when the knife was about to hit Xiao Nan finally took action. He took the opportunity to slap the man in black in the face. The man in black sneered even more. His attack was mainly based on speed. If this kid had retreated in time, he might still have a chance of survival. But he didn't expect that Xiao Nan would dare to fight him head-on. I think it's because this kid is so young and has no combat experience. When he saw my attack speed was so fast, he was distracted for a moment and made such a stupid defensive move. He could almost foresee that his dagger would pierce Xiao Nan's abdomen. But soon, he felt something was wrong. Logically speaking, his attack should have been faster, but just as his dagger arrived, Xiao Nan's palm was extremely close to his face, as if it would hit him in the face in just 1 second. In the black-clothed man's consciousness, he saw a huge word, death, on Xiao Nan's slap. At that moment, the world was turned upside down, the sun and the moon lost their light, and the stars shattered, as if the whole world had lost its luster. A huge wave of wind and waves swept in at that moment, and the man in black trembled all over, with every cell in his body emitting a breath of terror. He was unable to move and allowed Xiao Nan to slap him in the face. After just one encounter, the man in black, who was so aggressive and vicious just now, was slapped away like a dead dog and whizzed past Li Yadong. Li Yadong still had a wild smile on his face, as if he had already anticipated that Xiao Nan's limbs would be broken by his men and he would crawl at his feet like a dog. But after just a head-on confrontation, his most proud bodyguard was slapped away by Xiao Nan. Xiao Nan took a deep breath and found that his strength seemed to have become stronger than in his previous life. Especially the power of that slap just now, he himself vaguely felt that there was a special power in it. In his previous life, he might have been able to defeat this black man easily, but there were always some differences. But now is obviously not the time to think about these things. He raised his head and looked at Li Yadong, who shuddered. Chapter 29. Stop. Seeing Xiao Nan closing in on him step by step, Li Yadong finally panicked and yelled angrily, but Xiao Nan ignored him. Li Yadong retreated step by step, and soon he reached the wall, with nowhere to retreat. Now he was similar to Lin Shuyun just now. But just now he was the one who took the initiative to provoke, so unscrupulous, arrogant and presumptuous, but now he became extremely embarrassed, and his heart was trembling with fear at Xiao Nan's ferocious eyes. If you dare to touch me, you will die miserably. My black tiger gan will torture you and your family. I advise you to let me go now. Even though Li Yadong was shocked by Xiao Nan's powerful methods, he still dared to threaten Xiao Nan. For such a long time, no matter where he went, he had always been domineering by relying on his identity as the young master of the Black Tiger Gang. Xiao Nan was standing less than half a meter away from Li Yadong. Hearing this, he exhaled. Was it a threat? He was also going to attack his family. Li Yadong thought Xiao Nan was scared, so he immediately said, "Let me go now. I will forgive what happened today." Lin Shuyun was also afraid that Xiao Nan would act on impulse and get into trouble. As a large gang in the provincial capital, the Black Tiger Gang can do evil and act with impunity in the prefecture-level cities below, which means that they are very likely to be very powerful. If Xiao Nan did something harmful to Li Yadong in this impulse, the Black Tiger Gang would surely be furious, causing trouble for Xiao Nan. She also advised, "Xiao Nan, why not just forget it? Anyway, the danger is over now, so just let him go. I don't think he will come to cause trouble again next time." Even Lin Shuyun began to help him persuade Xiao Nan, which further encouraged Li Yadong's arrogance, and his previous panic attitude became fearless. "Did you hear me, kid? Take your people and get out of here right away. Otherwise, I won't be in such a good mood forever. Get out of here as far as you can before I change my mind." Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, he was slapped in the face. The slap was so powerful that the sound was more like the crisp sound of bamboo exploding. Li Yadong was caught off guard by the slap and spun 360 degrees on the spot like a top. He felt a buzzing in his head, tinnitus, and stars in his eyes. He almost had a concussion. The world was spinning in front of his eyes, and half of his face was numb and swollen to the point of losing consciousness. Lin Shuyun also covered his mouth, and the worry on his face became even more intense. Xiao Nan still didn't listen to her and took action directly. Although she also felt that Li Yadong deserved to die, the current situation didn't seem to be like this. Lin Guodong also got up from the ground, and the father and daughter got together. Lin Shuyun wanted to persuade Xiao Nan, but was stopped by Lin Guodong. Lin Shuyun turned her head and saw her father shaking his head at her. He whispered, "Daughter, I believe this gentleman has his own arrangements. You don't have to get involved. Lin Guodong has met and dealt with all kinds of people in his life, and he can tell the temperament of these people at a glance." He could see that Xiao Nan clearly had confidence in his heart. Li Yadong came back to his senses and saw that Xiao Nan's figure in front of him had become two. He shook his head and came back to his senses. After he really saw Xiao Nan, he gritted his teeth and said viciously, "How dare you hit me? Since I grew up, even my father couldn't bear to hit me, but you dared to hit me. I must cut off your flesh piece by piece. I want you to die." Chapter 30. Almost with gnashing teeth and like the roar of a wild beast, every word was squeezed out of Li Yadong's throat. He also looked at Lin Shuyun and threatened, "And you, woman, I won't let you go either. I will wait until you are worn out and then sell you to Southeast Asia and turn you into a prostitute. I will chop off your hands and feet and make you a vase on the exhibition stand." Even just listening to these simple words, Lin Shuyun got goosebumps all over his body. She could feel Li Yadong's tremendous hatred towards her and Xiao Nan. Li Yadong could not utter the next threat because Xiao Nan grabbed his neck. Then he slapped him with his backhand, and a slap, it hit the other intact half of his face. After this slap, Li Yadong's face swelled up quickly, like a balloon, and became extremely red, with the blood vessels vaguely visible under the skin. "Do you like to treat human life as worthless? Do you think your life is more noble than others?" Xiao Nan held Li Yadong's neck as if he was holding a chicken. His voice was cold, like the biting cold wind in the dead of winter. Li Yadong felt a strong sense of suffocation and slapped Xiao Nan's arm with his hand, but he felt that Xiao Nan's hand was not flesh and blood at all, but a pair of iron clamps that locked him tightly. He had difficulty breathing, and in almost the blink of an eye, his face turned from white to red, and from red to purple, just like Lam Kwok Tung just now. Under the intense pain of suffocation, he couldn't help but suffer from incontinence, and an unbearable stench emanated from between his legs. He has now experienced firsthand the pain that Lin Guodong suffered. Li Yadong had difficulty breathing and his neck was strangled, causing blood to flow back, and his entire head appeared more than one size larger than before. Lin Shuyun bit her red lips tightly, clenched her fists, stared at the scene intently, her heart hanging high. She was really afraid that Xiao Nan would lose control and kill Li Yadong directly. If this is true, then the trouble will be endless. Fortunately, just when Li Yadong rolled his eyes and was about to pass out, Xiao Nan finally let go. Li Yadong fell heavily to the ground with a thump. The sudden contraction and itching of his throat caused him to start coughing violently, with a lot of snot and tears flowing. Xiao Nan did not let him go. While Li Yadong was still coughing violently, he grabbed Li Yadong's right hand and said coldly, "Is this the hand that tore Meng Yun's clothes? You dare to touch my woman?" As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Nan's wrist shook, and suddenly there was a crackling sound like bones exploding. Xiao Nan just shook it and completely shattered Li Yadong's entire right arm bones. Although the arm was still attached to the body, it looked so limp, as if it were made of plasticine. Li Yadong opened his mouth to scream, but Xiao Nan grabbed his chin. With a click, his jaw was dislocated and Li Yadong's tongue stuck out of his mouth, but his scream was so unclear. Chapter 31. Li Yadong was in so much pain that he kept rolling on the ground. After he paused for a while, he raised his head and looked at Xiao Nan with a ferocious expression. He could not speak, but his eyes were still filled with immense resentment. Xiao Nan's eyes were calm, and he said, "You used to torture people like this, right? I guess in terms of the means of torturing people, mine can't be considered the best, right?" As soon as he finished speaking, he stepped on Li Yadong's right thigh bone again. There was a sound of the thigh bone breaking, and the white bones with flesh and blood pierced through the thigh muscles and protruded. The broken bones were as sharp as a dagger, and people who saw it broke out in a cold sweat. Li Yadong rolled his eyes again and almost fainted from the pain, but Xiao Nan would not let him go so easily. He squatted down, stretched out his sword finger and pointed at one of Li Yadong's acupuncture points. When Li Yadong woke up, he could still clearly feel the heart-wrenching pain in his thigh. Lin Shuyun could hardly bear to look at him any longer, as if he was meeting Xiao Nan for the first time. In the past, Xiao Nan gave her the impression of being ordinary and somewhat honest, like a good man who would never get too angry no matter what he did or said. But now, Xiao Nan was like a demon that descended from the sky, or like the king of hell who was in charge of punishment in the underworld, so cruel and ruthless. Blood gushed out from Li Yadong's thigh, completely wetting the floor, and the air was filled with a faint smell of blood. The atmosphere was dull and depressing, and some of the younger brothers who had just been knocked down by Xiao Nan opened their eyes. When they saw their young master in such a state, they looked at the man's back, continued to close their eyes, and pretended to be dead. As for the poisonous snake, it had already been knocked unconscious by Xiao Nan's slap, with all its tendons and veins broken. Even if it was rescued, it would probably become a disabled person in the future. Xiao Nan reattached Li Yadong's jaw. Li Yadong had been tortured beyond recognition. The bones of one of his arms had turned into powder, and the muscles of his other thigh were bleeding. The pain all over his body was bringing him to the brink of death, but his consciousness was extremely clear. Even after experiencing such pain, Li Yadong still did not want to ask for mercy. On the contrary, the resentment in his eyes became more and more intense, like a surging ocean wave. Facing Xiao Nan, he continued to curse, "If you have the guts, kill me. If you can't kill me, I will definitely take revenge. Why don't you come?" He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood foam. Par, Xiao Nan clapped his hands. "I have to say, you are worthy of being the young master of a gang. You are beyond my imagination. You are quite tough. You are tougher than many people I have met before. But I don't know if you can still be so tough in the future." His eyes fell on Li Yadong's crotch, as if he was mumbling to himself, or as if he was talking to Li Yadong. "Lust is the root of all evil. Everything is nothing more than this root of all evil. In this case, I will reluctantly remove this root." Before Xiao Nan finished speaking, Li Yadong's heart skipped a beat. Seeing Xiao Nan staring at him, he seemed to realize something. Even Lin Shuyun felt her eyelids twitch and her heartbeat quickened. She realized something. Could it be that Xiao Nan was? Sure enough, just as this thought came to his mind, Xiao Nan came up to Li Yadong from a high position. Li Yadong, who had always refused to beg for mercy, seemed to suddenly panic this time. He begged for mercy for the first time. "I was wrong, I was really wrong, I won't dare to do it again. Big brother, please be magnanimous and let me go. It's all my fault. I was lustful at the beginning and wanted to attack Miss Lin. I promise that after this incident, I will not cause trouble to the Lin family, nor will I cause trouble to you. As for the harm you have caused me, I will regard it as the punishment I deserve. I will never dare to do it again." Xiao Nan's feet stopped in mid-air. Looking at Li Yadong, who was begging for mercy, a mocking smile appeared on his lips. "You went through so much pain just now, but you refused to beg for mercy. You were thinking about revenge. But now, I just want to help you get rid of the root of all evil, but you panic like this. Is this thing so important to you?" Chapter 32. Nonsense. Isn't it important to you? Li Yadong wanted to curse loudly, but thinking that his life was still in Xiao Nan's hands, he could only swallow his anger and look at Xiao Nan eagerly, begging Xiao Nan to show mercy. I've already given you a chance, and you didn't cherish it. You can't blame me for what happens next. No. Li Yadong widened his eyes. Before he could finish his words, he felt a soul-piercing pain in his crotch. Even Lin Guodong, who was standing by, shuddered suddenly after seeing this scene, and felt a chill in his crotch. This is too cruel. Xiao Nan kicked Li Yadong, and his body bent like a shrimp. He was in excruciating pain, and he kept rolling around while cursing, I will kill you. I will. I will kill you no matter what the cost. The feud between Li Yadong and Xiao Nan is truly an endless one. Even though Lin Shuyun was a woman, she didn't know what to do after seeing this scene. Li Yadong was thrown to the ground. He wanted to sacrifice himself heroically several times but was woken up by Xiao Nan. At this moment, even if he wanted to be tough, it would be futile. He could only face Xiao Nan's calm eyes, and he just wanted to make a phone call. You probably want to call someone now, right? Come on, I'll give you a chance. Just call whoever you want. If there's any problem, let's solve it all at once, so that you don't waste my time by doing anything else later. Xiao Nan threw the phone beside him. Li Yadong picked up the phone and looked at Xiao Nan. He no longer had any other ideas and only wanted to make Xiao Nan pay the price and kill him. He picked up his phone and called his father. After the call was connected, he roared at the other end, Dad, come quickly. I've been crippled by someone, and this person is right in front of me, bring someone over to kill him. Provincial capital, Black Tiger Gang headquarters. Li Yadong's father, Li Guoxiong, was sitting in the main seat, and a graceful girl was burying her head between his legs and serving him diligently. After hearing his son's words, his body shook violently, like a tiger returning to the mountains, and a terrifying murderous aura rushed straight into the sky. After hanging up the phone, he pushed the girl away and roared, gather all the members of the Black Tiger Gang to Jiangcheng. I want to massacre the entire Jiangcheng. All the hall masters of the Black Tiger Gang received the order instantly. Everyone in the Black Tiger Gang, from their hall master to the younger brothers, gathered in front of the hall. A convoy of dozens of vehicles rushed towards Jiangcheng with murderous intent. For a while, the whole Jiangcheng was in a state of panic, and there seemed to be a storm on the horizon. Xiao Nan watched Li Yadong put down his phone, and finally he couldn't bear it anymore and fainted. He was too lazy to pay attention to Li Yadong, who was like a dead dog. In the past, he would hardly even look at this kind of stuff. He walked to the table, sat down, and waited calmly. Chapter 33. Seeing that the situation had calmed down, Lin Shuyun hurried to Xiao Nan's side, grabbed Xiao Nan's hand, and said anxiously, Xiao Nan, leave quickly before the Black Tiger Gang arrives. No matter what happens, my Lin family will bear the responsibility. After all, my Lin family has some relationship with the mayor. No matter what the Black Tiger Gang is like, they can't be too lawless. Leave Jiangcheng, the farther away the better. Lin Shuyun's hand holding Xiao Nan was trembling slightly, foreshadowing her inner fear. Her eyes were red and her voice was filled with tears. She never thought that today's events would turn out like this. Originally, she just wanted Xiao Nan to take her and her father away, but now that Xiao Nan has taken action, Li Yadong will probably become a disabled person for the rest of his life. Even if he is cured, he will have to lie in a wheelchair. With this kind of hatred, Lin Shuyun could probably imagine that once the Black Tiger Gang captured Xiao Nan would be forced to live in a state of imprisonment, unable to even wish for death. Seeing the careless and anxious look of the beauty in front of him, Xiao Nan was not in a hurry. He smiled and touched Lin Shuyun's cheek, comforting her, Okay, Shuyun, do you think I am a fool? Don't worry, since I did such a thing, it means that I am sure of it. You don't have to worry about me. I think I have been silent for too long in all these years, so long that I almost forgot my original self. Xiao Nan looked at the ceiling and breathed a sigh of relief. He was originally a young master in Beijing and had great ambitions. But later he met Su Ye, who said that she liked to live a peaceful life, so he put aside all his ambitions just to fulfill Su Ye's wish. During the years he was with Su Ye, he did not use his martial arts skills, nor did he use anything his family had. Now he realized that he should never give up what he has for anyone, otherwise he would regret it in the future. No matter what, he was using the Black Tiger Gang incident to tell everyone that the eldest son of the Xiao family, who once dominated the capital, is back. Lin Guodong and Zhu Yunhai had a good relationship. After this incident happened, he hurriedly greeted Zhu Yunhai. Zhu Yunhai was originally handling a meeting. After the call came in, he frowned subconsciously and hurriedly notified the official forces below to set up control near the hotel where Xiaonan was located and surround the area within a radius of 5 miles. Something went wrong with the Black Tiger gang in Jiangcheng, and it happened to the son of the gang leader Li Guoxiong. He could probably imagine that there would be a bloody storm next. As the head of a city, his most important task is to protect the safety of ordinary citizens, so as to prevent those who are ignorant of the danger and like to watch the fun from being harmed by the Black Tiger gang. In a short while, the hotel was sealed off inside and out by armed special police. Zhu Yunhai quickly walked up to Li Guodong and took a look at Li Yaodong, who was lying on the ground and had already fainted, as well as the pool of blood on the ground. Although the blood has dried up now, the degree of tragedy is still shocking, making Zhu Yunhai's eyelids twitch wildly. He looked at Li Guodong and took a deep breath. Guodong, I'm not saying anything bad about you. If it was something else, I could still help you out. But now you've tortured Li Yaodong into this state. I'm afraid the Black Tiger gang will cause more trouble than you and I could imagine. Why are you so impulsive this time? Zhu Yunhai realized that the situation was extremely bad. The Black Tiger gang has always been known for its cruel and domineering style of doing things. Now that the young leader of the Black Tiger gang has gotten into trouble in Jiangcheng, which is under his jurisdiction, I'm afraid that the Black Tiger gang will not only blame Lin Guodong, but even one of his city chiefs will not have a good ending. What a disaster! Lin Guodong smiled bitterly and shook his head. Old friend, how could I not know what you are talking about? But now that things have happened, it is too late to say anything. We can only wait and see. Chapter 34. As Lin Guodong spoke, his eyes fell on Xiaonan, who was sitting at the table. The young man Zhu Yunhai frowned. He didn't know Xiaonan. But judging from Xiaonan's calm demeanor, the other party should also be a big shot. What is going on? Zhu Yunhai asked. Lin Guodong sighed slightly, and then told Zhu Yunhai the whole story in detail. After hearing all this, Zhu Yunhai could not help but look at Li Yaodong fiercely and said angrily, I have heard that Li Yaodong from the Black Tiger gang relied on his family's power and committed countless mistakes over the years. It was only because of the power of the Black Tiger gang that he was able to get away with it. I didn't expect that he would be here now. Lin Guodong looked guilty and glanced at Lin Shuyun, who had been staying beside Xiaonan. It's all my fault. I was so focused on developing the Lin family's business that I ignored the behavior of this Li. I always thought that no matter what, he wouldn't be so crazy and bold. That's why things have become so unbearable now. No matter what, now we can only pin all our hopes on this young man. Lin Guodong can only try his best to save the situation. Zhu Yunhai looked at Xiaonan, but he was still a little worried. He asked, do you know the specific identity of this young man? Lin Guodong shook his head. I don't know, I just know that he seems to be my daughter's friend. Judging from the attitude of this young man, he is not an impulsive fool. I guess he really has a way to solve all this. At this point, Zhu Yunhai was at a loss as to what to do and could only sigh again. I hope so, otherwise Jiangcheng is doomed to be in turmoil today. 2 hours later, a convoy led by a black Prado drove over from a distance. They are coming. The voice of his subordinates came through the headset. Zhu Yunhai's eyelids couldn't help but twitch, and his heart began to beat wildly. Immediately afterwards, one after another SUVs and business cars stopped at the entrance of the hotel, and men with ferocious faces got out of the cars, all holding sharp weapons in their hands. Some were holding machetes, some were holding batons, and some were holding daggers. They looked ferocious and intimidating. Without exception, they all stood respectfully to the side of the hotel, leaving the middle aisle, as if they were waiting for someone. A tall and burly middle-aged man slowly walked down from a business car not far away. He had an angry look on his face, and under his calm eyes one could see that a terrifying murderous intent was brewing. He is the leader of the Black Tiger gang, Li Guoxiong. Li Guoxiong naturally saw the special police hiding in the dark at a glance, but he ignored them and walked towards the inside of the hotel with big strides. Even though he was just around the corner, Zhu Yunhai could already hear the dull footsteps. Every step seemed to be stepping on his heart, making him involuntarily nervous again. I subconsciously turned my head and looked at Xiaonan, only to find that Xiaonan was still calm, still holding the teacup and sipping it slowly. Chapter 35. The footsteps behind them were getting closer and closer. Lin Guodong and Zhu Yunhai turned around and saw Li Guoxiong followed by a group of Black Tiger Gang members walking towards them in big strides. Every member of the Black Tiger Gang had a ferocious look on their face. When they walked towards them from a distance, Lin Guodong and Zhu Yunhai subconsciously stepped back, feeling a palpitation in their hearts. There was no expression on Li Guoxiong's face, and Zhu Yunhai cautiously called out, "Mr. Li." As soon as Zhu Yunhai finished speaking, he was slapped loudly by Li Guoxiong. Zhu Yunhai had never suffered such humiliation in front of so many people. After being slapped by Li Guoxiong, he lowered his head and dared not show any dissatisfaction at all. He knew that Li Guoxiong's power should not be underestimated and that the other party was in a state of rage. The most important thing was to remain silent. "Mayor Zhu, you are really great. Such a big incident has happened in the area under your jurisdiction. As a mayor, you really make me look at you with new eyes," Li Guoxiong said coldly. This simple sentence, with the domineering aura that Li Guoxiong had acquired over the years, made Zhu Yunhai, an old fox in the political arena, break out in cold sweat. He hurriedly explained, "Mr. Li, this." Bang! Another slap. "I don't want to hear any explanation. Since my son is in trouble, I want some people to be buried with him." Zhu Yunhai's heart sank, knowing that nothing good would happen next. "I'll come find you later. You'd better pray that nothing serious happens to my son today, otherwise there's no need for you to step down as mayor." Li Guoxiong's words made Zhu Yunhai's heart sink to the bottom. Now he could only place all his hopes on Xiao Nan. If Xiao Nan was just a kid who was determined to save his beloved, and he didn't have any power behind him and couldn't fight against the Black Tiger Gang, then he would be in real trouble this time. Lin Guodong was directly ignored by Li Guoxiong. He didn't know that this time it was because of his relationship with Lin Guodong, otherwise Lin Guodong would also have to be slapped twice. Li Guoxiong walked into the inner room and saw his son lying on the ground like a dead dog. His pupils contracted and his whole body shook as if he had been electrocuted. What did he see? He saw his son, whom he usually held in his hands for fear of dropping him and held in his mouth for fear of melting, lying on the ground like mud. The wound on his thigh was clearly visible, and his arm, hanging like rubber, indicated that his hand was disabled. Thinking of what his son said to him, Li Guoxiong instantly roared like a lion. "Damn it!" This voice was filled with so much anger that it actually made the entire hotel buzz. A violent roar finally made Li Yadong open his eyes, and he saw his father not far away. When Li Yadong saw the backbone, his eyes turned red and he trembled with grievance. Li Guoxiong quickly walked up to Li Yadong, grabbed Li Yadong's hand and took a look at it, and immediately became furious. What a cruel method! Not only his hands and feet were broken, but the most important part of a man was also damaged. Even his meridians were shattered. It was obvious that the king showed no mercy. "Dad, no matter what, you must avenge me," Li Yadong said in a crying voice, pointing in the direction of Xiao Lan. "It's this man. You must skin him and burn him to death. I want him to be neither alive nor dead. I want to cut off his head and flesh with my own hands." Li Guoxiong comforted him, "Don't worry, Yadong. Anyone who dares to turn you into this will be made to pay 1,000 times the price." The leader of the Black Tiger Gang and his men were also shocked to see Li Yadong being tortured like this. They all knew the young master's position in the Black Tiger Gang, which was lawless. He had no idea how many people he had offended over the years. Even the many gang leaders were not taken seriously by him. Now that he has been turned into this state, how can Li Guoxiong not be angry? Just by looking at the gang leader's face, they could imagine how he felt at the moment. They all started spitting and cursing. That ignorant kid actually dared to torture the young master of the Black Tiger Gang. In the past, it was only our Black Tiger Gang that bullied others, and no one else ever bullied our Black Tiger Gang. A newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. No matter who this kid is, he actually dared to treat our young master like this. It is equivalent to not taking our entire Black Tiger Gang seriously and making him our enemy. We must grind him to ashes. Xiao Nan was indifferent. Li Guoxiong took a deep breath and said, "Boy, I'll give you a chance. If you cut off your limbs now, maybe you can die more comfortably." Seeing that Xiao Nan had no reaction, a leader of the Black Tiger Gang yelled, "TNND, our leader is talking to you, are you deaf?" After he finished speaking, he rushed over quickly. Just when he was halfway there, the tea in Xiao Nan's cup shook slightly. The tea gradually turned into sharp swords in the air and quickly shot towards their hall master. There was a sound of puffing, and the Hall Master had already been pierced through the body by the sharp sword formed by the tea and fell to the ground. Such a method made everyone present stunned for a moment, and Li Guoxiong also looked solemn. He said coldly, "If you dare to touch my son Li Guoxiong with only this little ability, you are too arrogant." Xiaonan slowly turned around and faced Li Guoxiong with a cold look in his eyes. He asked, "How much ability does one have to not be arrogant?" When he saw Xiaonan's appearance, Li Guoxiong was shocked. Chapter 36. How dare you talk to our leader like that? One of the Hall Masters roared when he saw Xiaonan being so arrogant, and rushed towards him without saying a word. Li Guoxiong was so frightened that his soul flew out of his body. He scolded angrily, "Stop it." The Hall Master paused and turned his head. Confusion in his eyes was obvious. He didn't understand why the gang leader wanted him to stop. Li Guoxiong stared at Xiaonan blankly. The look in his eyes was quite complicated, which made the Hall Masters a little confused. What exactly does the gang leader want to do? Xiaonan was also looking at Li Guoxiong, with a hint of confusion on his face as well. He didn't understand why the leader of the Black Tiger gang, who was known for his ferocity, would hesitate towards him, the murderer who beat his son like this. Li Guoxiong looked at Xiaonan, his eyes became more and more strange, which made the other Hall Masters look at each other in confusion. The look in the gang leader's eyes was too strange. Some of them even speculated, could it be that Xiaonan was the gang leader's only son? Otherwise, when encountering such a thing in the past, the gang leader would be the first to rush forward. Why did he hesitate for so long today? Li Guoxiong was stunned for a long time and couldn't say a word. His look made Lin Guodong and Zhu Yunhai behind him feel nervous. They all wanted to know what the expression Li Guoxiong revealed meant. Seeing his father like this, Li Yaodong hurriedly shouted, "Dad, what are you hesitating about? Hurry up and do it. Quickly skin this kid and pull out his tendons. I want to kill him with my own hands." Li Yaodong kept venting his anger. Li Guoxiong roared, "Shut up." This shout was not directed at Xiaonan, but at his son Li Yaodong. Li Yaodong was confused by the shout. He looked at his father, not understanding what was going on today. Li Guoxiong has always been someone he admired. Today, when he was tortured like this and asked his father for help in revenge, his father actually told him to shut up. He felt an inexplicable anger and grievance in his heart, and had no place to vent. Li Guoxiong finally reacted and slowly walked in front of Xiaonan. Just when everyone thought that he would lose control and attack Xiaonan, he suddenly fell to his knees in front of Xiaonan. Lin Shuyun, who was closest to Xiaonan, was stunned. Zhu Yunhai, Lin Guodong, and countless Hall Masters and younger brothers all stayed where they were. Their first reaction was that they were dreaming or hallucinating. When they finally reacted and looked again, they saw that it was not an illusion, but the gang leader was indeed kneeling in front of Xiaonan. Not to mention others, even Xiaonan felt it looked strange. They should be in a situation where the situation is tense and they are ready to fight to the death, but who could have thought that Li Guoxiong would just kneel down? He bowed his head and said, "Master, I'm sorry. It was me, Li Guoxiong, who was blind and did not discipline him properly. That's why my son didn't know whether to live or die. Please forgive me, Master." Li Guoxiong's next words are even more shocking. Everyone looked at each other blankly, and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. "Do you know me?" Xiaonan asked. Li Guoxiong nodded slightly, and then said, "When I went to the capital to attend a banquet, I had the honor of seeing the young master from a distance. That scene has left a deep impression on me to this day. When I saw the young master just now, I thought I was dazzled, but I didn't expect it to be the young master." Li Guoxiang's words made Xiaonan immediately understand the whole story. Back then, he was often taken by his family to attend various gatherings. In these gatherings, he is always the focus, and dignitaries from all over the world will come to participate. These people may be overlords in their own places, but at this banquet, they are just some embellishments. Naturally, Xiaonan would not pay attention to too many people, but anyone who had attended that banquet would basically remember Xiaonan's appearance. After all, if you meet him by chance in the future, you might be able to get a large amount of resources. In other words, remembering this appearance can help you avoid making many mistakes. What Li Guoxiong didn't expect was that he did remember Xiaonan's appearance, but he forgot to remind his son. The truth is, even if he racked his brains, he couldn't figure out why the shining sun who was the focus of everyone's attention back then would appear in a small place like Jiangcheng. And why would his son become an enemy of him? What is going on? Li Yadong was still trying hard to figure out what had happened. He didn't understand why the situation suddenly turned out like this. Li Guoxiong ignored his son and said to Xiaonan, I shouldn't have let my son develop such a bad temper. I have spoiled him too much over the years, and now he has caused such a terrible disaster. No matter what, I am guilty of not disciplining him properly. In this case, I should pay the price. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Guoxiong raised his hand high without saying anything. With a snapping sound, an arm was broken by this palm. Everyone present looked at each other in bewilderment, puzzled. If they felt it was incredible that Li Guoxiong knelt down just now, then Li Guoxiong's behavior of cutting off one of his arms to admit his mistake to Xiaonan was even more unbelievable. Xiaonan looked at Li Guoxiong. He knew that the other party was just putting on a show in front of the Black Tiger gang. It seemed that he was kneeling down and begging for mercy in front of so many brothers under his command, but in fact, it was the smartest thing to do to admit his mistakes. Others didn't know Xiaonan's identity, so they naturally didn't know whether to live or die, but Li Guoxiong knew it. He knew that the man in front of him was the eldest son of the Xiao family. Let alone the so-called Black Tiger gang, even if it was a gang more powerful than the Black Tiger gang, it could be destroyed in a snap of a finger. If you want to live, you should pay the price. Only Li Guoxiong, who had truly glimpsed some traces of top families, knew that although he seemed powerful, compared with the big families in Beijing, he was just as small as an ant. Get up. Xiaonan raised his hand, and Li Guoxiong stood up. He stood in front of Xiaonan with his head lowered, like a student who had made a mistake. Where is the former glory? Chapter 37. Li Guoxiong loves his son very much. Even though Li Yadong was injured by Xiaonan, he not only could not show any dissatisfaction but also had to thank Xiaonan for it. Thanks to Xiaonan's magnanimity, he forgave him and prevented his Black Tiger gang from being destroyed. After returning to the car, a leader of the Black Tiger gang looked at Li Guoxiong and asked, Boss, who is that kid? What's so extraordinary about him that he scares you so much? Are we really not going to avenge the young master? Shut up. Li Guoxiong glared at the Hall Master fiercely. The Hall Master shrank his head and dared not say another word. Li Guoxiong then said, You'd better stop dreaming about these unrealistic things. That person is not someone we can afford to offend. No matter what happens, don't mention what happened today again. Just pretend it never happened. After Li Guoxiong and others left, Lin Guodong and Zhu Yunhai also looked at each other. They were both not young anymore and had experienced everything they should have, but they were still so shocked by what was happening at this moment that they couldn't close their mouths. Even Lin Shuyun was the same, staring at Xiaonan blankly, as if she had never known this man. The reason why Lin Shuyun fell in love with Xiaonan was because Xiaonan helped her by chance and found her lost kitten. Since then, she has become curious about Xiaonan. She found that the man seemed indifferent to her charm, which made her curious and wanted to prove her charm. On the other hand, she also wanted to see if there were really such loyal men in the world. What disappointed Lin Shuyun was that no matter how she behaved, Xiaonan seemed to only have eyes for his wife. This also made Lin Shuyun even more curious about Xiaonan, so he investigated. After learning about Xiaonan and Su Ya's 3-year relationship, Lin Shuyun still felt a little sorry for Xiaonan. It was at this time that she discovered that her feelings towards Xiaonan had changed from initial curiosity to true liking for him. She wanted to truly love Xiaonan, but after having some contact with Xiaonan, she found that this man was not as simple as he seemed on the surface. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't see through it. As the saying goes, when you become curious about a man, that's the beginning of your falling in love with that man. The old saying is indeed true. Lin Shuyun is becoming more and more addicted to Xiaonan. Even if Xiaonan ignores her, she is content with it. For a long time, she did not ask Xiaonan for anything in return, but just stayed by his side silently. The Xiaonan she saw today was so brilliant that it made her feel incredible. Xiaonan, who are you? Why are you so powerful? Even the leader of the Black Tiger gang is so fearful and respectful to you. Lin Shuyun finally couldn't help asking. No matter who I am the person you know, isn't that enough? Xiaonan didn't want to mention too many of his identities. Lin Shuyun was stunned for a moment, then thought about it carefully and found that it was indeed the case. As long as he was the person she knew, it was enough. As for the others, she didn't need to think about them at all. Lin Guodong and Zhu Yunhai walked to Xiaonan's side. Zhu Yunhai looked at Xiaonan deeply and said, Mr. Xiao, if the Black Tiger gang is allowed to do whatever it wants, I'm afraid there will be endless troubles today. Mr. Xiao has dealt with the Black Tiger gang, which is a great blessing for Jiangcheng. As the mayor of Jiangcheng, I, Zhu Yunhai, am also responsible for this matter. Therefore, I would like to hold a banquet for Mr. Xiao to express my gratitude. I hope Mr. Xiao will not refuse. Part of Zhu Yunhai's move was to win over Xiao Nan and improve the relationship between the two. Xiao Nan shook his head. No matter how you look at it, this matter was caused by me, so I naturally have the obligation to solve it. Forget about the banquet, I don't like crowds. Zhu Yunhai immediately said, I know Mr. Xiao doesn't like crowds, but I just want to thank Mr. Xiao for his deep friendship. So, please do me the honor of attending. Don't worry, Mr. Xiao. I know that Mr. Xiao doesn't like to show up in public. He will only announce to the public that Mr. Xiao has solved a problem for me. There will definitely be no problem. Seeing Xiao Nan was hesitant, Lin Shuyan advised, Xiao Nan, just agree. This is Uncle Zhu's sincere thanks. Don't be too depressed. Lin Shuyan had already begged so much, and Zhu Yunhai had already said so much, it would really be a disappointment if he refused again. So Xiao Nan nodded and said, okay. Then Mr. Xiao, it's settled now. We'll hold the banquet in 2 days, and Mr. Xiao is requested to be present then. Zhu Yunhai said with a smile. Xiao Nan nodded, and Zhu Yunhai left. Although he was a little reluctant, it was good to be able to have more contact with people of this level. After all, people of this level are generally people of high status. If you can get along well with them, you might arouse the envy of others. But I also understand that more haste makes waste. After Zhu Yunhai left, Lin Guodong came to Xiao Nan and thanked him solemnly, Mr. Xiao, thank you for saving my daughter. If it weren't for you, Shuyun and I would be in danger today. Lin Guodong felt a little embarrassed that he had just lost control of his bowels and bladder in front of his daughter. I didn't think much of it when the situation was critical just now, but now that the danger is over, I feel blushing when I think about the previous embarrassment. Xiao Nan touched his nose and smiled, Uncle Lin, why are you so polite? There's no need to say thank you again, otherwise I'll have to reply to Mayor Zhu again. Xiao Nan's answer undoubtedly brought Lin Guodong and himself closer. Lin Guodong also knew that all this was because of his daughter. He laughed and said, you're right, you're right. If you really should thank me, there's no need to say more. If you say too much, it will inevitably make things awkward. By the way, Mr. Xiao, when are you going to marry Shuyun? Chapter 38. Xiao Nan's face froze and he subconsciously looked at Lin Shuyun. Lin Shuyun's face also turned red, and she didn't dare to look into Xiao Nan's eyes at all. This is the first time that this girl has shown such a shy expression, and it is obvious that she is guilty. As expected, Lin Shuyun immediately changed the topic and said, Dad, what are you talking about? Lin Guodong was stunned. Didn't you tell Dad that you were going to marry a young man named Xiao? That should be Mr. Xiao, right? Lin Shuyun took Xiao Nan's hand and walked to the side. I won't talk to you anymore. After reaching the corner, she patted her bulging chest, relieved, and looked at Xiao Nan furtively. Xiao Nan, I'm sorry, my dad has been saying that he wants to introduce all kinds of people to me and wants to go on blind dates with me. I told him that I want to marry you and use you as a shield. You shouldn't mind, right? Xiao Nan smiled and said, logically speaking, girls should be more concerned about this kind of thing. Why should I mind that a beautiful girl like you is willing to lean on me? I'm not that pretentious. Lin Shuyun patted Xiao Nan's shoulder and said, that's right. I knew you wouldn't mind. By the way, what's that box you're holding? I saw you bring it over just now. Lin Shuyun set his eyes on the box in Xiao Nan's hand. She had noticed it just now, but her mind was not on it at that time, so she didn't ask. Now that the crisis has been resolved, I finally have enough time to ask a proper question. Xiao Nan handed the gift box in his hand to Lin Shuyun and said with a smile, didn't I say I would give you a gift on your birthday? This is the birthday gift I prepared for you. Do you like it? Birthday present. Lin Shuyun's eyes lit up, and she quickly took the gift box in her hands. When she opened it, she saw the exquisite purple dress, and her heart was immediately filled with love. Thank you, Xiao Nan, I like it very much. Looking at the joy on Lin Shuyun's face, Xiao Nan felt that everything he had done was worth it. Lin Shuyun hugged Xiao Nan's neck and gave him a sweet kiss. People all over Jiangcheng are talking about what happened tonight. They knew that the Black Tiger gang was determined to cause trouble for someone, but in the end, nothing was done. Have you heard? The young leader of the Black Tiger gang, Li Yadong, was killed in Jiancheng. The leader of the Black Tiger gang, Li Guoxiong, brought hundreds of people to kill us. Won't Jiancheng be in a bloodbath? That person should be in trouble, right? You know what, the opposite happened. That person seemed to have left without paying any price. Even our mayor went there. Various remarks are emerging one after another. The next morning, while eating breakfast, Su Waiye kept staring at Xiaonan. Xiaonan came back very late last night, and there has been an indescribable weirdness about him these past few days. More importantly, when Xiaonan came back, the skirt in her hand was gone. Chapter 39. Luo Kun was not brought back, and he had no intention of explaining anything to her. Seeing this, Su Waiye couldn't hold it in any longer and took the initiative to ask, Xiaonan, where is your skirt from yesterday? Xiaonan was stunned for a moment. Although he had some doubts, he did not lie, I gave it away. Give it to someone. Su Waiye frowned when she heard this. Give it to whom? Xiaonan said calmly, it seems that who I give it to has nothing to do with you. Su Waiye was stunned again, thinking of Xiaonan's previous attitude, he would never speak to her like this. Now Xiaonan actually dared to disrespect her like this. With a bang, a slap landed on the table. Su Waiye glared at Xiaonan, Xiaonan, I said you are in a bad mood, but you have to stop it. Let me ask you, where is your skirt? Xiaonan's brows furrowed even more, and his tone gradually became colder. Su Waiye, let me tell you again, who I gave the skirt to has nothing to do with you, and I don't have the heart to play childish temper with you, and I am not making trouble with you, I hope you can listen to what I say this time. Su Waiye calmed down. She looked at Xiaonan carefully, her eyes flickering constantly, as if she had made up her mind. Her tone became softer, Xiaonan, I know you are upset because of what I talked about with Yuan Ku, right? I admit that my relationship with him is indeed a little closer, but I hope you can understand me. In the early stages of my business, I did use some of your connections to help me, but in the later stages, it was basically him who helped me. For the sake of my career, I got closer to him, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Can you, a grown man, stop being so petty? Su Waiye's words made Xiaonan laugh out loud. I don't want to be petty. How dare you say that? Well, since you think I am petty, just think so. I don't want to say anything. Su Waiye frowned. Xiaonan, what's your attitude? I'm communicating this matter with you now, but what about you? Do you think I owe you now? Just tell me, have I been working hard alone all these years? No matter what others say about you, even my parents asked me to divorce you, but I never listened. Don't you think I've done enough? Xiaonan didn't say anything. Su Waiye became more and more angry as she continued, you should know that everything I did was for my own development. As a grown man, you can forget about my efforts, but you actually acted like a child with me because of these things. Xiaonan suddenly felt that he and Su Waiye really had nothing to talk about. The two of them are not on the same channel at all. That's right, from Su Waiye's current perspective, this is indeed the case. The reason why Xiaonan's attitude changed was mainly because he knew in his previous life that Yuan Kuliang used Su Waiye to harm him. Although Su Waiye was not the mastermind and was not even aware of the matter, it is undeniable that it was because of Su Waiye that Xiaonan ended up like this. She even believed in Yuan Kuliang and didn't believe in herself. All these things are reminding Xiaonan that he must never make the same mistake again. Xiaonan, don't you have anything to say? Seeing Xiaonan silent, Su Waiye took a deep breath and asked. Xiaonan glanced at her and said, what do you want me to say? Do you want me to say something to thank you? Thank you for not caring about my temper, and thank you for your silent dedication for so long. Xiaonan, I can't stand it anymore. Su Waiye stood up, I'm talking to you nicely because you've done so much for me, but what about you? What's your attitude? You're always being sarcastic and mocking me. What? You think I owe you something? Let me tell you, if you were an ordinary person, I would have divorced you long ago. Xiaonan put down his bowl and chopsticks, raised his head and stared at Su Waiye, why don't you? As soon as these words came out, Su Waiye's momentum came to an abrupt end, and the expression on her face froze, and she looked into Xiaonan's eyes. The atmosphere between the two of them suddenly became weird.